Dave in the Casa de Love. Back in. Listen, I promise you, Lonzo, I promise you. Of course, the great one, Lonzo, the Sultan of Sound, the Professor of Perfection, the Wizard of Waves. Back in the network studio. I promise you that I'd rather be there than here. I mean, as nice as it is to wake up out of bed, to grab that early morning hot shower, and then to just stroll 6 feet down the hallway and be at work. And I'm not going to say that's not nice. I'm absolutely teamwork from home. I like.
Wow, do you live in a tiny home? 6 feet down the hall? Really? I mean, it's just.
I mean, from bathroom door to bro cave door, it's across the hallway.
Oh, okay, all right.
I haven't quite. I know it probably. Many of you think that I have. I haven't quite made enough money to live in a home that has wings yet. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to walk from the personal wing to the office wing or suites or anything like that. Well, I got a bathroom, and then I got a spare bedroom that got turned into a studio. Yes, it's a short jaunt down the hallway from my early morning activities to sitting down in the chair to go to work. And don't get me wrong, I kind of dig working from home. It's like every now and then, I think everybody should work from the house and give themselves a chance to recharge. But with the reason that I am working from home, great one. I would trade coming every day to the office for 6 months, weekends included, if it meant that I could avoid the reason that I am working from home. It's a little chaos over here in the Casa de Love is all I'm saying. But we're gonna get through it. We're going to be just fine. So live from the Bro Cave at the Casa de Love, and the other half of the show, of course, is the great Lonzo back in the Palatial Fan Upstate Studios. We are excited to have you guys along for the ride. 4 hours of the most electrifying sports talk entertainment that you will find anywhere at any time today begins right now. And what a day we got lined up for you. We got a lot of baseball to get into today. On the show is the Atlanta Braves, a probably much needed day off yesterday from the Major League Baseball schedule after they had a West Coast swing that included 7 consecutive games against the San Francisco Giants. And then, I should say 4 against the Giants, 3 against the LA Angels for a 7-game stretch out on the West Coast. They now return home, but it is a massive 3-game set that the Bravos begin tonight against the NL East leading Philadelphia Phillies. And wouldn't you know it, despite the fact that it has been a bit of a down year for third baseman Austin Riley, still a massive loss as Riley has a wrist injury confirmed by MRI yesterday. Austin Riley will miss 6 to 8 weeks of service time to the Atlanta Braves as he rests in rehabs from this injury. We're going to talk a little bit about the impact that is going to have on this team. Losing a guy that I have said a number of times, I think has got NL MVP caliber. I think he's got NL MVP capability, NL MVP talent. And I think he's what? He's finished inside of the NL MVP voting, inside the top 7, like 7 consecutive times or some stupid number like that. He's a young cat, and I think he's still got that time in him. He's only 27 years old. I think he's got the time in him and the talent in him to reach that top tier echelon of MLB players. It just hasn't been his year. All right. And who amongst the Braves isn't that true about, with the exception of Marcell Ozuna, right? Like Ozuna has had a good year. Outside of Marcell Ozuna, really, who's been the guy? There's not one. And you kind of kept waiting for Austin Riley to be one of those guys that when the lights shone the brightest was going to step up and answer the call. And he just has been unable to do so this year. So this is it is definitely a loss, but there's also a part of me, because I am a dumb person. There's also a part of me that, despite the fact that I have sounded the Bravos alarm on the show multiple times, despite the fact that I've hit the panic button on this team multiple times, and I still am, don't get me wrong, I have now come to the conclusion that even if the Braves make the postseason in that final wild card spot, which, listen, I told you 4 weeks ago that I thought they were going to give up the wild card spot. I was correct. In fact, I was correct before the end of that week when I said on a Tuesday afternoon from ACC Media Days that I thought the Braves were giving up the number 3 wild card spot. I was correct. They gave it away to the New York Mets. Now, granted, it was only for a night before they were able to get it back, or really, I shouldn't say they were able to get it back so much as the Mets gave it back, but they got it back. Since then, they have been surpassed in the wild card race by both the Arizona Diamondbacks and the San Diego Padres, both out of the NL West. They have held on to that third wild card spot ever since then, however. But also, however, the Mets are right there, game and a half back. And now you got a 3-game set against the Phillies. A 3-game set against the Phillies that, as Ralph Wiggins once said on The Simpsons, I'm in danger, because I do think they are in danger, because while this team is going to be going out there and taking on the Phillies, you've got on the flip side the New York Mets. The Mets, a team that are, again, just a game and a half back, are currently setting up to go through one of the easiest stretches of their schedule. Granted, it is not the next 3 games, because they are set to go against the Baltimore Orioles, one of the best teams in baseball. But once they get through that, they've got a little bit of a respite. The Braves do not. It's about to pick up for about a week and a half for Atlanta. So this 3-game series against Philly becomes infinitely important. I've come to this weird spot where I'm asking, okay, what are the expectations for this series, right? The good news, bad news here. The bad news is you don't have Chris Sale available. He just went, which means that you're going to have to bump him back into the rotation. Chris Sale will step onto the bump when you get set to take on, who is it, the Nationals? The Rockies in the next series. No, I was right. The Nationals in the next series, another 3-game homestand before you go on the road to Minnesota. You'll get Sale, Morton, and Lopez in that rotation. The good news is Reynaldo Lopez is back from that forearm inflammation that forced him to go through a AAA rehab stint. You get him back. He's on the bump tonight for you. The bad news is you're going up against the aces 1, 2, 3 for the Philadelphia Phillies in this spot. You are going up against a very good set of pitchers in Wheeler, Nola, and Sanchez that have been pretty much decimating everybody they've come up against. It's gonna be a tough spot. It's gonna be a tough spot. I think that, and I haven't done this yet, but I think I'm comfortable doing it here. We're gonna talk again a little more in depth about this 3-game series coming up later in the show. I think I have reached the point where I am comfortable saying about this series, if the Braves win 2 out of 3, then I think there's cause for justifiable mild optimism. Mild optimism, because you're still going to be looking like probably the 5th or 6th best team in the National League overall. But if you can take 2 out of the 3 at the house against Philly, I think there's cause for mild optimism. If the Braves drop 2 out of the 3, I think at that point I can write the season off as a wash. There's injuries left, right, and center over and over and over that just won't stop. Austin Riley, of course, becomes the most recent after taking an HBP off the fingers the other day, 6 to 8 weeks, as we mentioned. You have had just about every other offensive starter not named Ozuna or Olsen that has missed some level of time. And at some point, it's not even about the guys that are out and for how long they are out. It's more about the fact that it is impossible to build chemistry. It is impossible to build timing when you got guys that are checking into and out of the lineup over and over and over and over and over and over, and that has been the Braves season so far. So as we get to the spot where we've got about 40 games left to play in the regular season, the Braves are in a wild card spot right now. They are a long ways out of the NL East crown, but they are a game and a half up on the Mets. The problem you bump into is that a game and a half up on the Mets can be gone quite literally in one night. One night, it can be gone. And getting anything less than second place in the NL East, and honestly, even second place in the NL East doesn't guarantee anything yet, but getting anything less than second place in the NL East is a ticket to Cancun, as the new expression goes, to describe teams that fail to meet the postseason or fail in the postseason. If you don't check in precisely in exactly one spot behind the Philadelphia Phillies, there is no postseason run for the Atlanta Braves. I think we've already seeded the NL East streak. I think that streak comes to its conclusion this year. I do not see a land in which the Braves are able to catch back up to Philadelphia. Philly's playing too damn well. They're playing good baseball. I don't think there is a way that you are catching back up with this team. But I do think overall you are looking at a squad here in the Atlanta Braves that's good enough to make the postseason. And I will say that making the postseason will, I don't know, we'll see, give you some level of mild optimism. Optimism light, I think, is the way that I'm going to put it. Optimism light. Making the postseason can do weird things. Last year, the Arizona Diamondbacks were lucky to get in. And I'm air quoting that, right? Lucky to get in. The Diamondbacks were lucky to get in, and then they got through the wild card round, pardon me. And in round number 2, they drew the mighty LA Dodgers. Remember, this team was a team full of G's last year. They drew the Dodgers, and just about everybody with a microphone started saying, "Congratulations, LA. Good job, good effort, Arizona. Good run to get here. We're proud of the attempt. We're proud of the effort." And all they did was go punk, the LA Dodgers. In their house, by the way, as the road team, punk the LA Dodgers, get through the NLCS, and make it to the World Series last year. And win it, but they got there. And so, to me, if you can get to the postseason, if Atlanta makes the postseason, I won't immediately write it off as a, who cares? Who cares that we made it? We're not going to. Weird things happen in baseball's postseason, especially considering everyone who gets the number 1 seed fails. Everyone who gets the 1 seeds do not win in Major League Baseball's postseason, to the point that I floated a theory yesterday. I'll give it to you guys later and see if there's any baseball fans in the audience that want to chat. I think teams are actively avoiding the 1 seed right now. I think teams are throttling down. I don't think anybody is pressing right now. I don't think anybody is out there stressing themselves out trying to get the 1 seed. I don't think they care because the 1 seed's been a death sentence in the playoffs for baseball teams. So, weird things happen in the postseason, like the fact that 1 seeds just can't seem to make it through. And if that's the case, just get there. Just get there and see if the right guys get hot at the right time and kind of change the winds of fortune, if you will. But I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. If the Braves drop 2 or more out of this 3 against Philly at home, if this is in Philly, I probably feel differently about it. But it's in Atlanta. If this team drops 2 or 3 of 3 from Philadelphia, I'm going to go ahead and say I personally will be ready to write off this season. If they take 2 out of 3 against Philly and keep themselves in the mix, I'll feel a little bit differently about it. All right, there's some baseball talk for you. We got a lot of football coming up on the show today. We are going to take a look up and down the mighty Southeastern Conference. We're going to take a look up and down the Big Ten. We'll give you some projections, prognostications, and picks from the big 2 conferences coming up later in the show. We'll get some NASCAR in here as Tyler Reddick wins the 400 yesterday at Michigan International Speedway. We'll update you on the playoff standings in NASCAR and more. It's all coming up. He's Lonzo. I'm Rob. And you are beautiful and listening to The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
3 friends.
Get your daily dose of sports opinions with us. This is the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
It's 6:17 in the morning, and you are currently sitting there trying to get it going, right? Get the noodles spinning, get warmed up. You got a long day ahead of you at work. You know that one of these days, you want to get everybody from the office together, right? Like, let's just get out of the office. There's so much going on. Let's just go have a little camaraderie, shall we? Well, do I have good news for you? 3 Friends Bar and Grill in Moonville and in the Public Shopping Center in Wade Hampton. They want to be your place to get everybody together. They must have to be your lunchtime destination. They are my lunchtime destination. Give them a try. 3 Friends Bar and Grill in Moonville and in Taylor's has always fresh, made from scratch, never frozen ingredients that make up a wide-ranging menu of items. So there is something for everybody. So don't worry about that picky eater in your office when they say, "Oh, I don't know. I don't really like stop it. Come with me to 3 Friends Bar and Grill. Look at the extensive menu, and you will see why it is the lunchtime destination of the Rob Brown Show. Let's pick a random appetizer and entree combo for lunch today, shall we? How about we open up with crab stuffed mushroom caps filled with crab and a house-made Mornay sauce topped with mozzarella cheese. Then let's drop down to the menus. We feeling a salad today? How about the raspberry spinach chicken salad? A spinach tossed in raspberry vinaigrette topped with blue cheese crumbles, fresh raspberries, pecans, sunflower nuts, and grilled chicken breast. Or maybe you're looking for a thicker plate. Maybe you want a hand-cut ribeye steak. Maybe a surf and turf, a steak and 4 jumbo. They've got it all for you at 3 Friends. Even the pickiest of eaters will find something that they love. Check them out online at 3. That's the number, 3friendsbar.com if you want to see the menu. More importantly, just get everybody at the office, pile them into the van, head on down to 3 Friends Bar and Grill, Moonville, and in the Wade Hampton Public Shopping Center on Wade Hampton. It is our friends at 3 Friends Bar and Grill.
Clear skies overnight tonight with a low around 64. Sunny at 82 in the Wednesday, then partly cloudy skies Wednesday night with a low around 63. Sunny at 83 in the Thursday, then clear skies Thursday night with a low of 62. Sunny at 84 Friday. I'm meteorologist Kara Foster on the Fan Upstate. Currently it's 68 degrees.
Do you know the secret to losing up to 1 pound of fat every day? Hi, this is Dr. Elliot Hirschman with New Life Weight Loss, and we know the secret. Our unique doctor-supervised weight loss program makes it easy to lose weight, get healthy, and get your energy back naturally, safely, and effectively. If you'd like to lose unhealthy fat without counting points or calories, no exercising, no prepackaged meals, no HCG, no drugs, and no surgery, go to mynewlifeweightloss.com now.
Hey, it's Rob Brown. Listen, when I started with New Life Weight Loss, I did not know if I was going to be able to do it, but with the help and support of their incredible coaching staff, I am down now over 43 pounds and 10 inches off of my waistline. If I can do it, you can do it. And if you call them now and tell them you heard about them on the Rob Brown Show, New Life will give you $250 off.
Many patients lose 20 to 30 pounds in about a month. That's a half a pound to a pound per day. For your free private weight loss consultation, call 864-719-2550. That's 864-719-2550 or mynewlifeweightloss.com.
At Ingles, we're proud to work with hundreds of local farms and businesses in the communities we call home. Not only does it ensure that you get top quality, fresh items for your family table, it's a way for us to support the amazing individuals who pour their heart and soul into delivering the very best they can do. Quality, freshness, community, it's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
After you use Bounce Dryer sheets and realize how fresh, soft, less wrinkled, and less staticky your laundry can be, you'll need a sheet.
Michael, good morning, big dog. Welcome in, buddy. Good to have you. As
Small
always, glad you're here.
Or that blanket that's got wrinkles on its wrinkles. Maybe even your chatty coworker who keeps distracting you. Okay, Bounce Dryer sheets can't do it all. But for fresher, softer, better laundry,
set your kids up for a lifetime of financial success with Smart Start from Founders Federal Credit Union. Just like learning the rules of football, understanding money management is crucial. Our Smart Start products and educational resources help teach kids the basics of saving.
Oh yeah, today's National Radio Day.
Hey, let's celebrate. Let's all take the day off.
I am disappointed in your enthusiasm. It's National Radio Day. I mean, it's our day. Why you want to take away from our day?
I effectively have 5 hours between shows, and I will spend the entire 5 hours calling body shops today.
You ever think about learning how to play the violin?
I thought about playing the fiddle.
So one of those things that you have to do, you don't have to do. You could have said no. I'm just saying. I mean, but
not really.
You're gonna need that pay. You're gonna need that pay for cover. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Oh yeah.
At least you have the capabilities to do the show from home. I mean, that's a positive.
Yeah.
You could be having to wake someone up to bring you in or having to pay for an Uber. I mean, and what an understanding boss that's allowing you.
It is
trying to help you find some positives here, man.
It is quite appreciated. I'm probably going to get him a cookie cake after this.
I don't know if he eats cookie cakes, but 20 seconds.
Everybody eats cookie cakes. Even healthy people eat cookie cakes.
Of all things cool in the sports world, this is the Rob Brown Show. Oh yeah, Lonzo's here too. This is the Fan Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show carries on. It is the Fan Upstate Tuesday morning, ladies and gentlemen, and we are rocking and rolling. We don't need to necessarily spend a ton of time on this, but I thought this was. I'm conflicted on how I feel on this because this is one of those fun spots where my realism and my idealism are bumping heads on this one. The Atlanta Falcons pick up edge rusher Matthew Judon. They get him from New England in return for a 3rd-round pick. And that's a massive, massive pickup for the Atlanta Falcons. Of course, they turned around the very next day, and they were able to add 2-time Pro Bowl safety Justin Simmons to the rotation as well. So in 2 days, Terry Fontenot picked up 2 Pro Bowlers on the defensive side of the football, which was what all the Falcons fans were super duper upset about, right? They went and got a quarterback with a top 10 pick, did not address the defense. It made the Falcons fans quite upset. Well, in 2 days, Terry Fontenot corrected that situation. In 2 days, Terry Fontenot picked up 2 NFL Pro Bowlers to stack to bolster that defense, which is a bit of a coup for Terry Fontenot, so to speak. All of you fans together should be pooling your money together to send Terry Fontenot an edible arrangements for the moves that he made last week to end the week on behalf of your defense. Well, the reason that Matthew Judon was available was because Matthew Judon, a former New England Patriot, was unhappy about the contract situation staring him down in New England. Judon was set to make a base salary of $6.5 million this season. He wanted more with a capital M. The Patriots were unwilling to give it to him, which to some degree makes sense, that the Patriots weren't going to be held hostage by a guy who didn't play last year. He had a torn biceps. He was out for the season. He did register 15.5 sacks the season before that, a career high. So he comes to the Atlanta Falcons. He joins this squad, and yesterday gave his first interview as a member of the Falcons, where they are currently trying to work him into the defense. He did so with Joe Patrick of 92.9 The Game in Atlanta. Of course, a co-worker, a friend of the show, Abe Gordon of 92.9 The Game in Atlanta. And when he was asked about that whole situation, he said, hey man, you come down because you didn't get the contract you wanted in New England. You are still on that contract now in Atlanta. Are you going to hold out here as well, or are you going to play? Are you getting a new contract? Have you discussed it with Terry Fontenot, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? And Matthew Judon said, quote, "The Atlanta Falcons don't know me as a football player. They know my history, so I can't demand something I haven't worked for," end quote. He said basically, they don't know me. They took a shot on me. So I am going to play under the contract that I am currently under, which is that base $6.5 million per year. I'm not going to ask for an extension or a raise here because I haven't earned it here, even if they came and got me from a place that I feel like I did earn it. Is this admirable out of Matthew Judon, Lonzo? Because on one hand, like, yeah, of course it is, right? Like, it's admirable. He would get to the new team and go, yo, I've done nothing for you guys, so I'll go out there and earn it. On the flip side, he's on a 1-year deal for $6.5 million. Mean if something happens to him this year, if he ends up with a popped ACL, MCL, whatever, he's not protected for the future. Atlanta could cut him, and he's back to making 0 dimes per year. Is this admirable, or looking at it through an adult lens, kind of foolish from Matt Judon?
I don't know. I think it's just business, and we don't know what they've told him behind the scenes. Maybe they've told him, hey, we're not going to sign you to anything long-term unless you can prove it. And so you take the high road in front of everybody, just to make it look like you took the high road. I don't know if that's the truth, but still, how many other players have bet on themselves and won? I mean, I think the percentage is high as far as the guys who bet on themselves and actually were able to get a better contract.
I mean, I think it feels that way because by and large, the guys who take that tack of I'm going to bet on myself and earn a new deal, by and large, the guys you hear about are the stars, right? You never hear about the third string left guard fighting for a roster spot who says, I'm betting on myself. Like, yeah, okay. I mean, of course you are. You're a fringe NFL player. You don't really have a choice, right? Nobody else is betting on you. You either make the roster or you don't. But I get what you're saying. And, look, the guy's a talented football player. There's no doubt about it. It's not so much that I don't think Judon will put up the numbers to get a fat contract next year. I don't think it's that he won't put up the numbers that prove that he is worth that sort of money down the line. It's more along the lines of if I was a player knowing that there was a possibility that something could go wrong, there was the possibility that, I break a leg, or I have an ACL pop, or I tear an MCL or whatever, something that could end up becoming a long-term injury. It's just as easy for the Falcons to kick me to the curb next year and move on from me than it is to re-sign me to a new deal, right? Now, I will say it stands out. This is kind of the antithesis of what feels like the attitude that we get from most players these days, where it's here comes the money, money, and they do the weird Shane McMahon kick backwards thing. On the flip side, and this is something that I've said in years gone by, doesn't it kind of make sense to be like that? When we know the shelf life for most NFL players, what's the average NFL career is like 4 years right now? Like the average NFL career is 4 years, which also means that about half the guys don't make it to 4 years, right? Actually, it's probably more than that. So if that is the case, I've never really faulted players for trying to get the bag, for trying to get what's a fair market value for them. Even if it resets the market occasionally, it is a massive respect to Matthew Judon, who is, by the way, kind of like the anti-Hassan Reddick right now, right? Like Hassan Reddick got picked up a couple of days ago by the Jets. That's not even that much of an exaggeration. It was like a month and a half, 2 months ago. Gets picked up by the Jets. Immediately demands a new contract from his new team. They are saying no. And he's like, all right, trade me then. I don't want to be here either, right? Like he just demanded a trade from Philadelphia, gets traded to the Jets, immediately says, I'm out. And keep in mind, the reason I bring up Hassan Reddick is because Hassan Reddick, when he was traded away from the from the Eagles, the Falcons were absolutely in on the Hassan Reddick sweepstakes. They wanted that guy. They made a big play for that guy. They ended up not getting him. And now you end up with a dude that, if nothing else, the Falcons fans are going gaga over right now, right? And I get it. I get it. When a dude shows up and he says, hey, yo, I ain't played here yet. They ain't seen me. They rolled the dice. They came and got me when I wanted to get God. So I'm going to give them the benefit of a one-year team-friendly deal, and then I'll figure it out. I respect that. It's just I understand guys who decide not to make that push. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. We'll get some more NFL in the opening hour of the show. Hour number 2, going to be a lot of college football. It's all coming up on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg,
And on the Odyssey app.
Upstate.
I'm Chuck Sanders. Here's the Sports Flash presented by Progressive. The Panthers and Bills play their final preseason game this Saturday afternoon in Buffalo.
Judson Mill in downtown Greenville, Friday, September 27th. Bourbon, bacon, cigars, and sweets. VIP general admission and designated driver tickets are on sale now. Your participation directly supports Carolina Adaptive Golf.
Pardon me.
You have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
Did you know Greenville County Animal Care has cats and dogs just waiting to find their forever family? When you adopt from Greenville County Animal Care, you're getting an animal who has been spayed and neutered, is microchipped, and is up to date on vaccinations. Most pets can be brought home the same day you adopt. We do charge a small fee to adopt a pet to help us help more animals, but sometimes we have adoption specials and the fees are waived. As a service to veterans, all adoptions are free. Visit greenvillepets.org to learn more.
Bridge nonprofit invites you to the Disability Resource Expo on August 25th at the Kroc Center. This free event connects attendees with providers, state disability agencies, valuable resources, and information. Presented by Odyssey and the South Carolina Developmental Disabilities Council.
Mad World Haunted Attraction opens September 6th. Get ready for the Upstate's most anticipated event of the year. Mad World is much more than just a haunted house. It's a fall tradition like no other. Enjoy new axe throwing, carnival games, food, bonfire, roaming characters, and fun for the whole family. Located in Piedmont off I-85 exit 35. Grab your friends.
Got to remember today at 2 o'clock, Gamescom starts in Germany and goes for a week.
Oh, I was unaware of that.
Finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with
There are a couple major expansions that are supposed to drop, but the dates haven't been given, and the rumor is it's going to be in the next couple of days. So. One minute.
Every business faces challenges, but complicated, expensive, and uncertain shipping shouldn't be one of them. With USPS Ground Advantage from the United States Postal Service, you can avoid all the noise. No more unexpected surcharges, hidden fees, or complex rate structures. It's just easy, cost-effective, and dependable shipping. Tune your business's frequency to success and turn shipping to your advantage. Learn how at USPS.com/advantage. USPS Ground Advantage. Simple, affordable, reliable. From the Ingles
Market Studio, The Fan. The Fan!
Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville. 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Always live on the Free Odyssey. Now, the Infinity Sports Network. Early birds get the Sports Scoop. The Rob Brown Show, now morning 6 to 10.
On the Fan, Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, with you, rolling through 4 hours of sports talk excellence here on the show this morning. We're talking some NFL here in hour number 1, as we are now just a wee bit over a week and a half away from the start of the National Football League season. Some of you guys are fantasy football fiends, and I respect those of you that still do it. I bailed out of fantasy football a handful of years ago, and it's not because I don't love fantasy football. I do.
Is it because you're really bad at it and you just decided?
No, quite the opposite, Lonzo.
Okay.
I think I've told you this before. I know ball, and in knowing ball, pretty good at fantasy football. The problem bumped into by yours truly was that once I start down the fantasy football bandwagon, winning fantasy football becomes an obsession. It just becomes an obsession. It gets to the point for me that not only do I have to win, but I have to win as much as possible.
Winning.
Yes, thank you, Charlie. The last year that I played, which was probably, 7-8 years ago now. Well, way back in my younger 30s. When I played the last time, I ended up one year in a spot where I was in 8 different fantasy football leagues, and my Sunday mornings consisted of getting up. And if you know me, you know this ain't me. My Sunday mornings consisted of getting up at like 8 in the morning to start setting rosters, to start evaluating matchups. And then we started having Thursday night games. And then we started having Saturday games. And then we started having, dueling Monday night. It just got to the point where it was like, it was a full-time gig for me to run my fantasy football team to like win, a couple $100 a year spread out between the 8 different leagues I was in.
All right, I'm a little confused. As a knower of ball, why would it require that much time to put together a roster each week?
Because parts.
Shouldn't you just go check, win? I mean,
Does a lawyer because he just knows the law? No. It's work, it's dedication, it's hustle, it's the grind to accomplish victory. All right. Because one of the other things I can say is that while Rob Brown knows ball, there's an old saying that you show me your friends and I can tell you who you are. My guys know ball too. All right. The boys know ball. The gang knows gridiron. And so if you want to knock them down, it takes the extra work, right? Patrick Mahomes is a spectacular quarterback, but he puts in the extra work. First at practice, last to leave it, right? First guy in the film room, last guy out. The guy's watching 10,000 plays a day to grind and get better so that when he goes out on Sunday and he throws behind the back passes to Mr. Taylor Swift, he can make it look easy. And that's not easy. That's only made to look easy by somebody who has been at the grindstone for years and years and years, my man. I know, Zoe, and so do you, that we make this look easy. It ain't. It's only made to look easy because we've put in the time to get damn good at it. Like 3-time South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year award winners good at it. That doesn't just happen. That is not given. It is earned, my man.
So you're saying talent alone doesn't always do it. You got to put in work too. All right. I get it.
Correct. Welcome to the land of fantasy football. So I bailed out after I had a season where I had, I think, 8 teams going, and effectively I was putting in Sunday mornings. I was ignoring other aspects. They say that, doing something isn't bad until doing that thing prevents you from doing the important things in life, right? Like doing like having a drink here and there isn't a bad thing. having enough drinks here and there that it prevents you from doing your job or paying attention to your family, that's where it becomes problematic. That was fantasy football for me, so I had to bail out of it. But I still dabble in the curiosities of fantasy football, and I do so I can help you guys out. All right, I want to be there for you. You got fantasy football questions? Fire them off. 71307. Start your text with FAN, FAN. The text line is open this morning. 71307. Start your text with FAN, FAN. If you haven't had your draft yet, you got any fantasy questions? Holla at your boy. I'll do the best I can to help you. You can also tweet me at The Rob Brown Show. Tweet Lonzo at Lonzo on Word. Tweet us all at The Fan Upstate. So, yesterday, I went and I did a rundown, a conglomeration, if you will, of different fantasy gurus and was looking at their fantasy ratings for different positions around the NFL. One of the reasons why is fantasy projections, while they very much could be wrong and frequently are, welcome to the reason that we play fantasy football. They give you a pretty good indication on what you can expect to see statistically out of guys. And you can then apply those things to what you expect those players to do, IRL, as the kids say, when the boys strap them up in a couple of weeks and play some football. I started with Yahoo Sports because I was curious. They put together a panel of who they have deemed as their fantasy football gurus. And I did a little research. Couple of these cats look like pretty good fantasy brains. Couple of them looks like they're just kind of getting their start in the game. They have listed, great one, in reverse order from 10 down to 1, these as your top 10 2024 fantasy football quarterbacks in terms of expectations of points scored, etc. I'm actually going to top 11 this because the number 11 name makes me really intrigued.
Because these go up to 11, don't they?
Well, why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 the loudest one? But this one goes to 11. Good Spinal Tap reference, much appreciated. We're well-rounded on this show, both physically and culturally. Number 11 on this list, great one, Jaden Daniels, the Washington Commanders quarterback, expected by the gurus to be the 11th best fantasy quarterback in the NFL this year.
Uh-huh.
That sounded like the beginning of a Gwen Stefani song. Uh-huh. Few times. Okay. Number 10, one spot ahead of Jaden Daniels, Dallas Cowboy quarterback Dak Prescott, checking in at the top 10. Number 9.
Well, wait a minute. Legally, you have to place a Dallas Cowboy in there somewhere. I mean, you know, it's sports law. Without a doubt, it's sports law.
Here's the thing. Dak's regular season last year, Lonzo, was really good. Really good. I think that's why he's on there. And I don't have a problem with Dak being on the list, even without that contract. Number 9, Joe M, Manem, Joey B, Joey Ice, Joe Burrow checks in at number 9, a spot behind Jordan Love of the Green Bay Packers. That one got me a little bit.
Wow, 1 year and all of a sudden he's okay.
Are the Packers getting, speak of the Devils, are the Packers getting the Dallas Cowboy treatment here? Like we've got to respect the established, the historic franchises, or is this a Jordan Love story is very interesting, so we want to prop it up kind of ranking?
I think it's more about the propping up because you saw Brett Favre while Aaron Rodgers waited behind him and suddenly did what he did. And now the fact that Jordan Love was waiting behind Aaron Rodgers and people think it's going to be a repeat. And after that first season, you know, it's a possibility, but it was one season.
It was. Jordan Love at number 8. Kyler Murray at number 7, according to the gurus.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Again, that's part of the game, right? Like, that's part of the game is the personnel. They've got CJ Stroud checking in at number 6, one spot behind number 5, Anthony Richardson. So an AFC South battle, and the guy who didn't finish the year last year checks in one spot ahead of the guy who did finish the year and won that same division last year.
Yeah, that's a little bit surprising. You think at least those should be flipped.
You would think, but my other reaction is Anthony Richardson's a better runner than CJ Stroud. He's a better open field runner, and I think that might be the difference. Lamar Jackson at number 4, and this was a consensus number 4 pick. Every one of the 6 gurus that ranked these for Yahoo Sports, every one of them ranked Lamar Jackson number 4. One spot behind, great one, number 3 fantasy quarterback for this year, Patrick Mahomes checks in 3rd behind, and here's what even makes that more fun. I know it's already going to be a gut check that Mahomes is 3rd. It's he's 3rd behind number 2, Jalen Hurts, projected to be the number 2 fantasy quarterback this year.
I don't even know how to address that. I mean, first of all, disrespectful without a doubt. I mean,
obviously.
There's no doubt. I mean, we've already seen what he can do, Patrick Mahomes, as far as being in 4 Super Bowls, 1 in, 3. I mean, he's just been to he's just a better quarterback overall. I'm surprised that this is it the running thing again? I mean, because Patrick Mahomes, even though deceptively faster than you think, does not know how to run right. I mean, he just looks awkward when he runs. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
I think that's got to be it. Like, the thing is, though, outside of the occasional tush push, Jalen Hurts isn't exactly a wild runner either, right? Like if we were going to use that logic, Anthony Richardson, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen would all go ahead of Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. Like, that would be the top 4. So I do think that those statistics have to play into a little bit.
Kyler Murray would be up there too.
Kyler Murray would be up there. I do think who you are throwing to goes a long way in this discussion. And again, we saw some pretty good things, I think, I'm even willing to say, out of Xavier Worthy in the first half of that preseason game last week. But I also point out that, and I do this not just for the Chefs, but for every team, don't get go gaga over your guys yet, because it is the preseason. We'll see if it translates. It's a lot based on who you've got around you as well, which is why I also don't understand Jalen Hurts. Like, I know he's got the Slim Reaper. Where they running the ball this year behind that offensive line that kind of struggled towards the stretch last year? It's an interesting list. And I'm curious as to those of you out there in Sportslandia that have been putting together your that you have been putting together your fantasy teams. How did you have these quarterbacks ranked on your draft board?
Wait, did you say 2 and 1? Did I don't recall you saying 2 and 1.
2 and 1.
No, you said that Mahomes was at 4.
Right. Oh, you're saying in terms of Super Bowl records?
No. On the list, who was number 2 and who was number 1?
Oh, Jalen Hurts and number 1, Josh Allen, which I do not disagree with, actually, at least in terms of fantasy points quarterbacking, not because he's better, but because he's got to do it by his damn self this year. Josh Allen's going to be running for his life. He is going to be racking up rushing yards this year because he ain't got nobody to throw to. That's why he's number 1. That is actually the probably the only spot in the top 10 that I don't really have a problem with, because my man is on his own this year. On his own this year. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, water cooler cheat sheet, top 3 sports stories that you need to know. And then we go college football analyzing. We did the ACC yesterday. We will do the SEC and the Big Ten today over the next couple of hours. All of that comes after Lonzo tells you everything you need to know about the sports world in this Sports Flash.
or at least a couple things. Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa criticized former head coach Brian Flores during an interview with Dan Le Batard yesterday. Tua described Flores as a hypocritical, saying he's not only hypocritical, he's hypocritical, saying that Flores openly questioned his ability and talent, stating that he hadn't earned the right to be an NFL quarterback. Flores entered multiple legal suits for discrimination against the Dolphins after he was fired and replaced by current coach Mike McDaniel. Los Angeles Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert was spotted practicing with the team yesterday, the first time he's been seen under center since being diagnosed with plantar fascia injury. So we're going to see what happens there. Supposedly, he's going to be ready for a game on. We'll see. Tune in this afternoon, 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel will get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, a whole lot of fun. All Wire to Wire.
Up to the minute, upstate traffic. The Cordell and Cordell construction cam shows these areas you'll need to watch for today. Southbound 85, East Spartanburg. The southbound side is closed and diverted from before Highway 116 down to Dewberry Road. Southbound 85 between mile marker 47 and 45, the two left lanes are closed. They're expected to open about 7. From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on the Fan Upstate.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Diego.
Hi, Diego. It's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to say your cashback match makes me feel so special. It really inspired me.
That's great. Doubling the cashback you've earned at the end of your first year is what we do.
Well, I'm doubling everything now. Double dating, double dipping, double feature, double header, double whammy. Basically double or nothing.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard. You go into your shower feeling, but as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent.
Have you ever thought about putting your own face on your own shirt, like the Jackson Brown shirt you're wearing?
I should.
I mean,
this shirt, but just put my face on it.
It's one thing to have your name on the back, but when you got your face on the front, that's confidence right there.
I think that might even be too much for me, and there's not that much that's too much for me.
Only people like Jackson Brown and Joe Hendry can do that, I suppose.
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. They love him in London, in Paris, in Tokyo, America, Scotland. I love that Scotland's the one word he says where the accent shines through.
Well, it's for his home country, I'm sure.
And Canada and Mexico. I believe in Joe Hendry.
He's in a triple threat tonight. With Wesley and somebody else. I forget who else.
I got to catch up on Raw. I didn't watch Raw last night.
It was pretty good.
I've heard.
Friends of the show did not fare well last night.
Friends of the show did not fare well last night. The Rob Brown anti-bump in play last night.
Exclusions apply. The Fan.
Upstate.
WYRD Greenville.
WORD Spartanburg.
WFBC HD3 Greenville.
W249DL Greenville.
W246CV Spartanburg. The Fan.
Upstate.
An Odyssey sports station.
Man, check this out.
Your unofficial Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show.
Get Rob.
Only
The Fan. Upstate.
It is the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate. Our numero dos getting underway right now as we roll through a Tuesday. We have hit, ladies and gentlemen, the Christmas Eve of football season. All right, listen,
how you doing?
I'm real good, Corey. I'm real good. Welcome to the show. Great to have you, bud. Corey's not doing great. Corey ended the race yesterday. Great one with the roof of his car on the ground, and I'm not a big car guy, but I'm 100% sure that's not the part of the car that's supposed to be touching the ground.
Well, let me say again, as I said on the stream during the break, friends of the show didn't do real well yesterday.
Bad day for the friends of the show yesterday between Corey, our friends Gunther and Damian Precious, an all-around bad day to be a friend of the show yesterday. Corey LaJoy ending up upside down. We're going to come to that here in just a minute, as that is going to be a portion of the water cooler cheat sheet. In fact, you know what? It is 7:03 in the morning. You've got just over 56 minutes before you've got to get clocked in and locked in at the office this morning. You're going to respond to those passive-aggressive emails that the boss sent way too late last night. You know, just because you're up working late, boss, doesn't mean that the rest of us are or want to be, right? So you're going to pop that email back, and you're going to do everything in your power to filter it so that you don't let the bleep you that you want to filter in there shine through. And once you're done with that, because that's exhausting work, right? To be able to answer all those emails without going off like you want to, it's exhausting work. I feel like after that point, you will have earned yourself a well-deserved break. I feel like you will have earned yourself the chance to walk down the hallway, to go meet Bill from Janitorial Services. Bill's a great guy. Wants to talk a little football with you. Great chance to do it. And if you're going to talk with Bill, you don't want to sound like a fool. You want to know what's going on in the world of sports. Bill's going to say, hey, did you hear about blank? And you're going to be able to say, why, yes, Bill. Yes, I did. Because I was listening to the Rob Brown Show when the Rob Brown Show did this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying, "Burn it down! Burn it down!" Their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It's the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office this morning and start talking sports with your coworkers. When you do, these stories will be all the rage. They are the top 3 stories in sports. They are your water cooler cheat sheet. Let's get going with item number 1. A few weeks ago on the show, during the first week of the NFL's preseason, we had a conversation on the show. That conversation had to do with the NFL's new kickoff rules. The conversation we had was Rob Brown saying, after watching this thing play out, after seeing how it just kind of looks with guys who, by and large, though not exclusively, have never done this type of kickoff before, I wouldn't be shocked if the NFL ultimately moves the touchback from the 30-yard line, where it has been established this year, to the 35-yard line moving forward. Now, I said at the time that I did not think it would be This year, I think they would go through 1 year of just letting it be and seeing where the numbers are going to play out. And I still think that is true. Though after 2 weeks of preseason, we've got a little bit of an idea. The average starting field position after the full weekend of exhibition games played this past weekend is the Patriots-Falcons line, the 28.3 yard line. That is where kickoffs are averaging, or field position is averaged after kickoffs this year. That is up 4.4 yards from this same point last season. That has already sparked some talk that teams might just opt to kick it deep through the end zone once the regular season starts, trading the starting spot after touchbacks at the 30-yard line. Effectively, if you've got a kicker who can boot this thing through the back of the end zone consistently for touchbacks, you are effectively surrendering less than 2 yards to ensure that there is no kickoff return set up against you, which seems like a pretty fair trade. Now, again, 3 weeks on the show, 2 weeks on the show, right before the regular season kicked off, we had this discussion. And I said, my expectation is that the average starting field position is going to be somewhere between the 28 and 30-yard line on kickoff returns. And if that is the case, it would not shock me to see down the line the NFL move the touchback line from the 30 up to the 35. Why? Because the new rules were designed with the idea that they would increase the number of kickoff returns. They would increase the number of times the ball is brought out, but also minimize the amount of full speed collisions that would happen on a return. Effectively, you want to make kickoff returns safer, but also more frequent. Well, based on what we're seeing so far, that's going to be the right call. However, the NFL yesterday said that they do not anticipate moving the touchback spot to the 35. You will recall that the 35-yard line was the original spot proposed for the new kickoff rules by the NFL's competition committee. The owners shot that down. The owners moved it back on a 1-year trial basis back in March to the 30-yard line. Don Aponte is the NFL's chief football administrative officer, said moving the touchback line this season, quote, would not be likely. The way that we passed this and discussed it with the competition committee as well as membership at large was really about continuing to evaluate. It is a 1-year rule change, so we anticipate to evaluate throughout this entire season. Now, so that we are clear, I do not think the NFL after 1 year is going back to the old kickoff, especially if we end this year with a decrease in injuries to players on kickoff return. If that number goes down even a little, the NFL will indeed maintain this kickoff rule. The only question is, will the touchback change from the 30 to the 35? Right now, the answer is going to be yes. Because I think while teams in the preseason are likely having their kickers not aim for touchbacks, predominantly so that their kickoff return teams and their kickoff coverage teams can get some work, can get some opportunity to practice against a different team in a live full-speed environment. When we get to the regular season, I think every kick's going to be a touchback. Honestly, like there are at this point very few kickers who aren't going to be able to get this thing at least to the back of the end zone, if not outright through it. So I think with a few rare exceptions, when we get to the regular season, and I told you this a couple of weeks ago, and the new average just kind of proves that point. I think when we get to week 1, the kickoff game is going to be, and I honestly do not believe that this is intentional. The NFL doesn't want to intentionally make their product more boring. If it is a byproduct of making it safer, they're going to go with it. But if you are telling me as a head coach that I am sacrificing 1 yard, 1.5 yards of field distance against the average return in order to make sure that there is no return, yeah, I'm booting a touchback every time. I would not be shocked, Lonzo, in week 1 if over 90% of kicks are touchbacks on initial kickoffs with the new rules. And I would not be shocked if the competition committee reverses this decision sometime in the regular season and does allow the touchbacks to go back to the 35-yard line as was initially intended.
More than likely, yes. I am curious. I wonder if the NFL sent out a memo saying, hey, test every part of this during the preseason, or if coaches themselves decided, hey, let's see how we handle it if someone kicks here. Let's see how we, if we kick there, how are we going to cover it, that sort of thing. And then when the regular season happens, like you said, just everybody kicks it and gets a touchback.
Yeah, I listen, the preseason as it is, as we have mentioned a time or two, not for casuals. The preseason is not for casuals. As I have mentioned a number of times, the preseason is entirely about giving coaches the opportunity to evaluate their team as thoroughly as possible. And one of those evaluations is not just personnel, but it's also strategy. It's also tactics. It's also formula for game operations. It's all these different things. I have no doubt that coaches have been working on a little bit of everything and everything, right? Like Sean McVay last week kind of gave the game a little bit when he was talking about how the Rams were approaching kickoffs. And that's effectively what he said was, where we've got a couple of things that we're working on, moving guys into different spots on the field for the initial run-up, having different personnel groups for the different kickoffs that we want to do. It is absolutely something I think coaches are working on, and I do not think it's going to matter because at the end of the day, while the analytics nerds are the chagrin of many a sports fan, they're also hugely valuable to coaches. And if they come in and they say, coach, if you kick a touchback, they get it at the 30. And if you don't, they average at the 28.3 yard line. So it cost you 1.7 yards to just touch it back and make sure they don't pop a return out across midfield on you. I would not be shocked if we end up seeing a lot of touchbacks when the regular season gets here. All right, very quickly, let's run to item number 2.
My thing is, okay.
All right, we're just going to roll with it. Item number 2, the Fire Starter 400 took place yesterday at Michigan International Speedway. It was a delayed race from Sunday, but there was rain throughout the area. They were able to run 51 laps on Sunday, had to get to 100 to make it official. They did not, so they picked it up yesterday. And Tyler Reddick ended up getting the win yesterday, was able to outrun William Byron, Ty Gibbs, Kyle Busch, getting himself a top 5 yesterday, and Michigander Brad Keselowski to the black and white checkers. There were 2 overtime periods here. William Byron did put Ty Reddick under threat on a restart, but Reddick was able to hold him off down through the stretch. Friend of the show, Corey LaJoy, did not have himself a great day, unfortunately, as towards the end of the race, contact with another driver with his front right ended up sending him spinning down into the infield. When he crossed over and lost the angling of the bank, his car flipped, rolled on its hood, and slid down the backstretch. LaJoy was bumped from the race after that. A couple of other guys, Joey Logano caught a DNF as he had to bring his car to the garage, but Ty Reddick gets himself the win and a spot. Not that he didn't already have one, because I believe it's his 3rd win on the season. He is on his way to the playoffs. And finally, a very quick item number 3. Schedule of an upcoming baseball game isn't ordinarily something that goes on the water cooler cheat sheet, but it will here. The Atlanta Braves coming off taking 2 out of the 3 on the road at the Angels, taking 3 out of the 4 on the road against the San Francisco Giants, a team that has won 5 of its last 7 and 6 of his last 8. They're back home. Now, it's not just that they're back home, it's hoomst. They're back home against the Atlanta Braves, set up for a 3-game series against divisional rivals and divisional leaders, the Philadelphia Phillies. And that starts this evening, 7:20 at Truist Park. The good news, it's at the house. The good news, if the Braves can take 2 out of the 3, they will not only decrease the lead the Phillies have in the division, they will likely, at least tonight, increase the lead they have over the New York Mets for the 3rd wildcard spot. The bad news, you're catching ace from Philly. Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Chris Sanchez go 1-2-3 against Reynaldo Lopez, Max Fried, and Spencer Schwellenbach for the Braves over the next 3 days. I put it on the cheat sheet because let me make it real simple, and then we'll go to break. If the Braves win 0 or 1 of these 3, I think the season is officially a write-off for me. If the Braves win 2 of the 3, I'll maintain cautious optimism. If the Braves sweep the Phillies, it'll tell me the Phillies ain't all they're cracked up to be, and maybe there's a chance. This is going to be the most anticipated and watched Braves series of the season. All right, we're back after this. Let's talk a little Big Ten football when we return on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
New life.
Real sports talk for real sports fans.
The Fan Upstate
Is the sports voice of you, the Upstate fan. Call 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-326-3663.
The Fan!
Upstate.
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to tell you about my friends at New Life Weight Loss. I got a phone call about 3 months ago that said, Rob Brown, would you like to work with a weight loss organization? We know that you got your wedding coming up in a couple of months. Would you like to take advantage of a partnership? And I said, I would, but let me check them out. Let me take a look first. So the first thing I did was I went to the website of New Life Weight Loss at mynewlifeweightloss.com, and I read the slogan that is right on the top of their webpage. It says, "Life as you know it will forever change." And I thought, okay, guys, that's a little deep. All right, it's a little deep. Here's the thing. I thought New Life was just about helping you drop some pounds and inches. And don't worry, they are and they will. But they're about so much more than that. New Life is about helping you see your world in a different way. They are about helping you see your food in a different way, your relationship with it, your approach to your own health, well-being, and nutrition in a different way. And I will tell you that it has worked for me. Not only am I down 43.5 pounds, not only am I down 10 inches off the weight line, but on top of being down 43.5 pounds and 10 inches off of the waistline, I am also in a spot now where I look at food differently. I'm in a spot now where I look at my nutrition differently. I look at the decisions that I make differently. And because of those things, I know that now that I'm at my goal weight and I've actually dropped my goal weight to go down a little bit more, not only am I at my goal weight and going below it, but on top of that, I know I am not going to balloon right back up when I'm done because I am making better choices with a better strategy to being the healthiest, most confident version of myself. And if I can do it, I promise that you can do it. Here's what I want you to do. Call them today at 864-686-5820, 864-686-5820. If you call them before the end of August and mention the Rob Brown Show, they will give you $250 off the program. 864-686-5820. Call New Life Weight Loss by the end of August. Get $250 off the program by mentioning you heard about them on the Rob Brown Show. It is our friends at New Life Weight Loss.
That's great. Doubling the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year is what we do.
Well, I'm doubling everything now. Double dating, double dipping, double feature, double header, double whammy. Basically double or nothing.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Brakes? We can save you 15% on that. We have OE quality Duralast brake pads and rotors in stock, ready for pickup or delivery. We also have calipers, brake fluid, tools, and anything else you'll need to do the job right. When you get Duralast pads and rotors together, you'll save 15%. It's just part of what makes us America's #1 brakes destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Your coworkers might.
That sounded exasperating. Exasperated.
It's time to experience the thrill of the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com. It's free to play. Play for fun and no purchases necessary. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. VGW. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. It's BetMGM tonight.
2 years ago, we pretty much individually won my fantasy baseball league. This was 2 years ago because last year's team won again. Yeah, because I couldn't do the draft. I had cousin Joe do the draft. He got drunk instead. You and I would do it for show. It's just you and me in here.
Fan phone. That's 844-FANFONE. This is the award-winning Rob Brown Show. Mornings.
On the Fan Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show continues. It's the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, with you here on the show today. Let us, ladies and gentlemen, talk a little more college football here on the show this AM. Diving right in. Let's start with the Big Ten. Lonzo and I have had an interesting conversation going effectively this entire offseason. And that conversation has been about the future of Ohio State head coach Ryan Day. Lonzo has maintained for some time now that in the eyes of Buckeye Nation, that if Ryan Day fails to defeat Michigan this year, whether it's because of Harbaugh or just because fourth time's a charm, if he fails to defeat the Michigan Wolverines this year, that Ryan Day may very well be on the hot seat if he is not outright removed from that position. A stance that I have told Lonzo I think is absolutely ridiculous. Even for a fervent, passionate fan base, a rabid fan base, I think that would be a ridiculous decision to make by the administrative offices of the Ohio State University. Yesterday, I was sitting in on BetQL's You Better You Bet alongside Pat Boyle. Now, my guy, Patty B, is a big Notre Dame guy and a big Midwestern football guy. And he said when I brought that up, as a matter of fact, I cited the great one on the nationally syndicated You Better You Bet last night, or yesterday afternoon, I guess I should say. I said, my executive producer, Lonzo, back in Greenville, South Carolina, is a big horse chestnut guy. And he has said that if Ryan Day fails this year to beat Michigan, which to me also indicates at least a playoff berth as the Big Ten champion, I might even extend that to say make a deep playoff run. But he has said a number of times that if Ryan Day fails to defeat Michigan this year, that not only will he be on the hot seat, but Ryan Day could be removed as the head coach of the Buckeyes at the end of the season. I told Pat Boyle, I find that premise ridiculous. I find that premise silly for a guy who is, you looked up the record the other day, Lonzo. How many total games has Ryan Day lost? Like 8 in total over his entire time there?
Yeah, it was 8, but multiples of those are to the same team, though.
Multiples being, what was it? 3 of them have been to the same
I
team?
believe it's 3, but it's like 3 in a row. So, I mean.
Yeah, it is 3 in a row, but it's 3. It's 3 out of 8 combined losses as the head coach of the Horse Chestnuts. And so I said, Pat Boyle, I find this ridiculous. You've spent more time broadcasting in the Midwest than I have. Is it? And Pat Boyle said, Rob Brown, it's actually not a foreign thought up here in Horse Chestnut. Well, he's not there anymore, but where he came from in Horse Chestnut country. He said it's actually not that outlandish of a concept to a lot of Buckeye fans, because that game may very much matter more than any other game that Ohio State will play, including potentially playoff games, to which I said, I'll never understand it, right? I dislike my rival, but I've asked you guys the question before. If I could guarantee you a win, not guarantee you that you will lose any other games, but guarantee you one win. I could guarantee you a win over your rival, or I could guarantee that you would win the national championship. Which of those 2 guarantees would you take? If I was the college football god, and I said, you may right now select one of 2 things. You can either have a beatdown of your rival and every other game is a toss-up, or your rival game is a toss-up, but I guarantee you a national championship. I was shocked and frankly a little appalled at the number of you that said you would take a guaranteed win over the rival ahead of a guaranteed national championship game. It blew my mind then, it blows my mind now. But Pat Boyle said that is the case. Here's my question. Lonzo, if Ryan Day defeats Michigan this year, but the Oregon Ducks win the Big Ten, they win it in the bowl game, they win it in the Big Ten championship game, they edge out Ohio State, let's say to a final score of, I don't know, let's make it close, 24-27, Ducks win the Big Ten championship. What of Ryan Day then?
Well, he beat Michigan. The question is, in that scenario, I believe Ohio State and Michigan in October meet each other in the regular season. So are they splitting it, or are they losing to Oregon twice?
No, however it plays out. Let's say that Ohio State goes 11-1. Let's say Oregon goes 11-1. Ohio State beats Oregon. It's Oregon's only loss. They rematch in the Big Ten, and Oregon beats them in the Big Ten championship. Is Ryan Day safe? He's earned a bowl berth at that point, or a playoff berth at that point. It will not be the Big Ten championship berth. It will not be the auto bye. You will have to play the opening game, likely in Columbus. Is Ryan Day safe at that point?
Yeah, because you beat Michigan, you're still in the playoffs. You got your fans an extra game to be in the horseshoe, no matter how cold it will be at that point, which will be an advantage to Ohio depending on who they play. So, yeah, it's about Michigan. It just is. I mean, there's no, unless you're in it or born into it, there's no way to completely describe it to someone who doesn't get it.
I mean, again,
I believe that the Michigan people feel the same way.
I'm sure that they do. It's never going to stop being absolutely shocking to me. It's never going to not be mind-blowing to me.
Well, you've heard here that there are Clemson fans who think the same thing about Carolina and the opposite. I mean, the hate of a true rivalry, it goes beyond anything that happens after.
I mean, I don't get it. If I got a coach that's gotten me knocking on the door, not just knocking on the door, but knocking on the door and reloading to knock again every single year, I can't see the world you move on from that. You're right. You're right. I guess I just won't get it. That being said, we also yesterday did a pair of interviews with college football gambling experts, and we got their picks for conference champions for all of the major conferences. And when we come back, I wanted to get into the Ohio State conversation because I want to get into the Big Ten conversation, of which Ohio State is the primary focus right now. But I also want to get into the conversation about the Ducks because we asked 3 people yesterday, professional sports handicappers, who put their money where their mouth is, who they are taking to win the Big Ten. And while they justified it in other directions, all 3 of them said they're betting the Ducks to win the Big Ten in their first year in the conference. So, is that on the table? Is that in the cards? Is that a possibility? How does this conference shape up? We'll talk about that when we come back. Rob Lonzo and you, the Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's the Fan Upstate.
Listen on your phone. Download the Odyssey app and search
I've only seen her like in one thing, maybe 2 things, Trey, but she seems like she's an okay actress. She definitely would fit as far as Black Cat goes. Wait, so vodka's made out of potatoes? That's weird.
Do what now?
Vodka is made out of potatoes?
Oh, yeah, potato vodka.
I don't know why it's popping up on my feed, but there's someone making vodka out of potatoes. I don't drink, phone. Listen to me, phone. I don't drink. Stop popping those things into my feed. Thank you. This is like they're making potato salad, but apparently they are making vodka. That's just weird. I just sent you something on X. I haven't heard it, but I looked at the subtitles. Looks pretty funny.
All right, let me look at it.
One minute.
Good girl. That's good dog.
Now they're saying he needs folders and glue. You got it. And markers, of course. Oh, jeez. Can we get art, please?
Save big on back to school with Staples Hot Deals. Right now, 24-pack Crayola crayons and notebooks are only 50 cents each at Staples.
Stop it. Stop it right See Big E. I'm Big E.
Punch your ticket to the best local sports. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Biggie's such a dork. I love him so much.
Again, I just watched the subtitles, so I can imagine how funny it is.
It was very funny.
Of the matchups and the keeper of all things cool in the sports world. This is the Rob Brown Show.
Oh, yeah. Lonzo's here, too.
This is the Fan Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show carries on. It's the Fan Upstate. 71307 is the text line. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N. We'll read them on the air. Texter says, that's right, great one. O-H.
I-O.
Okay, listen to the just raw enthusiasm and energy dripping off of Lonzo.
If you were watching the stream, I was over there working on setting up the next bumper music, and I wasn't close to the microphone. I apologize.
O-H.
I'm not going to yell. I'm not going to yell because that goes against my character here on this fine program. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't have energy here. I don't have to.
Fair enough.
Rob is the energy.
Texter said, perspective here, gentlemen. I grew up in Minnesota. I would take the Gophers winning the national championship, which will never happen, over them beating Wisconsin any day of the week. See, that's
no
that's
offense.
more in line with what I think.
No offense, but it's Minnesota, dude. I mean, it's Minnesota.
Yeah, you just don't care like they care.
It's totally different. By the way, your way of thinking is more logical, and a national championship is more meaningful overall, without a doubt. But here's the thing: if you beat Michigan, chances are you're going to be ranked pretty high and have a better chance at getting a national championship. If you lose to Michigan, you're not going to vie for one.
This is why I set up the hypothetical with, if I guaranteed you a win, and it was either the rivalry game or the national championship, guarantee you a win. Result of the rivalry game is irrelevant. If that game's up in the air, if you don't take a guaranteed win of the rival, you're guaranteed a natty, and you're telling me the Buckeyes would take Michigan. That I can't. I don't get it.
Here on the Rob Brown Show, we do not deal exactly with the other person's hypotheticals. It is our job.
No. You
wreck it.
Dude,
you wreck everyone. I have too. So you can try that. But
that's because mine are good. Mine are spot on, 100% accuracy and efficiency every time.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Every time.
You're right. I'm lesser than, but that's fine. That's what Wisconsinans do.
Texter said, can you name any other fan base in college football who would take a win over their rival instead of a national championship? That is bat poop crazy talk. End quote.
We have heard Clemson fans and South Carolina fans say that. So, I mean, we have heard that.
We have heard a couple of South Carolina fans say it. Far from the norm, though. I think the majority of Carolina fans, when we asked this question, said we would take the Natty 99 out of 99 times.
All right, so I'm gathering from your criticisms that you think that means something, and your criticisms mean nothing to an Ohio State or Michigan fan.
Oh, I know.
Well, because you don't. I'm going to do what 1%ers do, so you should be familiar. You just don't get it.
I mean, you are correct. Texture said, Auburn grad here. Give me a Natty over beating Bama any day. Yeah, again, I really think, and I guess you can take pride in this, though I kind of feel great one.
You're forcing me to be arrogant here, because I am not. But if I come from a place of confidence, it sounds arrogant. That's just my voice. I can't help it. But when's the last time Auburn won a national championship? It's been a long time. And how familiar are you with national championships, Auburn? Not very. So when's the last time you vied for an SEC championship? Been a while. Cam Newton comes to mind. And maybe it happened after that too, but I don't think so. So and Cam's been in the NFL and retired. So it's been a while.
They, of course, played for one in 2013, but were turned away by Jameis Winston that year.
Dude, you know how long ago that was?
Well, only 2 teams play for a national championship every year, and there's 163 of them now.
I'm aware of that, Rob. Thank you.
Playing for one once a decade is actually pretty impressive. I wouldn't expect a Chiefs fan to understand that.
That's too. I mean, it's the same sport, but at different levels. But okay.
I don't.
How long did the Chiefs go before they actually were back in the Super Bowl? It was like Super Bowl II to recently. So that was a pretty good drought. Just saying.
Was pretty good drought. All right, so let's talk. Let's talk a little bit more Big Ten. We had 3 college football guests yesterday on You Better You Bet on the BetQL Network. I was guest hosting for Nick Kostos yesterday, and in the conversation that we had with these guests, we were asking the question. Now, let me preface this with who you are betting on to do a thing and who you believe will do the thing can be different things. There are reasons to make a bet on a team that isn't necessarily the team that you think will do the thing. One of those reasons is there's a big profit attached if you got it wrong. There's a big profit attached if you guessed incorrectly and a team you didn't think would do it does, which happens all the time, even to those of us that know ball. But we had 3 handicappers on yesterday. All 3 of them said that they were betting Dan Lanning and the Oregon Ducks to win the Big Ten in their first year in the conference. I asked why. I said, yep, hold up. Ohio State's the top-ranked team coming in. Ohio State seems to be the consensus squad. The Buckeyes seem to be the team that everybody outside of you guys is rolling with. Why are you going with the Ducks? And there were 2 answers. Number 1, the Ducks have the best betting value. You're getting them at longer odds than Ohio State, despite the fact that the win-loss totals are, I believe, even. Ohio State's maybe 1 higher than Oregon's, but I believe they are even right now. And number 2, and this is what I'm really interested in, 2 of the 3 had the same take. 2 of the 3 had the take that you lost a lot from the Buckeye program from last year. What right now about this program excites you? What right now about this program do you look at and go, okay, that's where the juice is coming from? You don't have a Marvin Harrison Jr., you've transferred quarterbacks, you lost a good chunk of the defense. What is it about the Buckeyes that got you all hot and bothered under the collar to put this team into your surefire Big Ten championship slot? And the more I went and looked and thought about it and read it, I think Ryan Day has arguably the strongest Ohio State roster he has had during his time here, and also the most inexperienced. And that is where a lot of people are getting nervous, I think, Lonzo.
All right. By the way, I am very concerned about Oregon as well. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad take at all. And I agree with everything that was said. I mean, there are a bunch of ifs going on with Ohio State. I am shocked that they're ranked as high as they are. I'm happy with it, but I am shocked because you have a lot of transfers, and we've seen like what Florida State was able to do last year. We don't know what Ohio State's able to do with it. They've had one or two before, but usually it's been someone stepping up that was waiting in the wings, and it's not that case this time. Also, something to factor in, new offensive coordinator. And how is that going to affect things? Because Ryan Day has been doing it for all the time he's been there, and now you got Chip Kelly in at offensive coordinator. So I don't know. I don't know. I believe that Ohio State's going to win the Big Ten, but I think Oregon is their biggest test, not Michigan.
I completely agree with that. And I'll go one step further and tell you, great one. I think Michigan's fallen off this year. I do not think the Wolverines are a contender this year. I think they lost too much. I think there's too much drama going around Sharon Moore right now. Now, there is the intangible in this case being that the boys love Sharon. You saw that last year when he stepped up into that interim HC role when Jim Harbaugh was serving the second of his 2 suspensions last year. When Moore took over, the fellas were hyped up, but there's also the element of they were hyped up because it was different. They were hyped up for Jim as well as Sharon Moore. There was a lot more to it than just, we love this guy, but they very clearly do love this guy, so they are going to strap up and play for him. I just look at a team that lost a lot, including, by the way, and this was what I asked on BetQL yesterday. Last year, I go back to the Penn State game. I go back to the Ohio State game. I go back to a handful of games. Do you want to know why people were down? Not everybody, but a lot of us were down on J.J. McCarthy as an NFL quarterback. It is because last year, when things got tough for the Wolverines, what did Michigan do? They gave the ball to Blake Corum, and they said, go get him, Tiger. Take those tree trunk thighs you got and carry us to victory. And Blake Corum did that. Do they have that guy this year? Is there a guy coming back this year? Aside from that, who the hell's replacing J.J. McCarthy, right? Like, who's stepping up and coming anywhere close to replacing the cat that's in that role? I don't think Michigan knows at this point. I don't think they have an eyeball on that. No, by the way, just in case you're paying attention, speaking of the Michigan Wolverines, we've talked about the fact that they've got to deal with Ohio State. We've talked about the fact that they've got to deal with Oregon in the same season. Who does Michigan have September 7th to open the season? The University of Texas, the Longhorns. They're coming up to Ann Arbor. That is going to be a test right out of the gate. That is going to be a test right out of the gate, a week 2 showdown between last year's national champions and one of last year's national semifinalists. I think Michigan's at the best the 9-3 team next year because I do not see them beating Ohio State. I frankly don't see them beating Oregon, and that game against Texas feels like an L as far as I am concerned. I don't think Michigan is coming back this year. I think the Big Ten is a showdown between Oregon and Ohio State. As Lonzo pointed out, they get each other mid-October in a regular season showdown. Here's the interesting thing. Ohio State has Michigan, Oregon, and Penn State. Michigan has Texas, Ohio State, and Oregon. Lonzo, Oregon has Ohio State. They didn't catch Michigan. They didn't catch Penn State. They catch Washington, but let's be real. That ain't the same game this year. Oregon will be in the Big Ten championship game if for no other reason then the other two biggest teams, Ohio State and Michigan, both have more difficult schedules with more marquee games. And I don't think James Franklin's the guy that can win a big game, or else Penn State could shock you because they got a friendly schedule as well. Penn State effectively has Michigan and Ohio State, but not the third big game like Ohio State and Michigan do. Because of that, I think you're getting a Buckeyes Oregon national championship game. The interesting thing will be, and obviously we'll have to wait a little into the season to find out if this matters, great one. The Ducks are going to be a lot fresher than the Buckeyes will coming off of that Michigan game.
Oh, for sure. Again, this is the most interesting the Big Ten's been in a while. I know people getting upset about adding teams. The teams that the Big Ten added were pretty good. I mean, obviously, you right away get the number 3 ranked team coming into this season. This is going to, this could shake up very strange compared to what it has in the past years. That would be really weird for Oregon to come in and win the Big Ten in the first year. Can you imagine having to say Big Ten champion Oregon?
Yeah.
It just sounds so weird.
It does. It does. If they win it, can we change the name to the Pac-12? You got enough schools in there.
Well, it's not. What did PAC stand for? Pacific.
All right, we'll change it. We'll change it. Yes, like the Atlantic Coast.
Yeah, I know.
With notable members Stanford and Cal. Pretty spectacular. College football is the best, man. It's the best. Hey, here's my question: what if Ryan Day beats Michigan? What if he beats Penn State? And what if he does drop the Big Ten championship game to Oregon? Does Oregon enter anywhere close to the Michigan levels of hate at that point?
No.
Okay, fair enough. Hey, let's do a sports flash.
Tyler Reddick has picked up another win in the rain-delayed race at Michigan International Speedway yesterday. Martin Truex Jr. got loose with 6 laps to go, with Reddick leading the restart, a lead he held through 2 overtime periods on the second. Ross Chastain wrecked, ending the race. William Byron finished second, with Ty Gibbs, Kyle Busch, and Brad Keselowski wrapping up the top 5. The Atlanta Braves begin a 3-game series with the division-leading Phillies this evening at 7:20 at Truist Park. The Braves' Ronaldo Lopez will make his first start after returning from a rehab stint from a forearm injury. And make sure you tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, a whole lot of fun. It's all Wire to Wire.
Up to the minute, upstate traffic. The Cordell and Cordell traffic cam shows things are starting to slow down now. Southbound 85 around Highway 14 to Pelham Road, and southbound 14 is slow off 85 to past Pelham. Further north, southbound 85 between Highway 111 and Dewberry Road, there's a 2-mile backup where the southbound side is closed. From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on the Fan Upstate.
Don't miss Bourbon and Bacon Fest, Friday, September 27th at Judson Mill, downtown Greenville. Sample bourbons and whiskeys from local, new, and well-known distilleries while feasting on bacon-themed bites from top restaurants. VIP, general admission, and designated driver tickets are on sale now. Proceeds support Carolina Adaptive Golf, benefiting veterans and individuals overcoming physical or mental trauma. Text BACON to 72341 or visit bourbonandbaconfest.com for tickets. Text and data rates may apply.
Mad World Haunted Attraction opens September 6th. Get ready for the upstate's most anticipated event of the year. Mad World is much more than just a haunted house. It's a fall tradition like no other. Enjoy mini golf, axe throwing, carnival games, food, bonfire, roaming characters, and fun for the whole family. Located in Piedmont off I-85 exit 35. Grab your friends and get ready to scream. Buy your tickets now at madworldattractions.com. That's madworldattractions.com.
Every business faces challenges, but complicated, expensive, and uncertain shipping shouldn't be one of them.
With USPS Ground Advantage from the United States Postal Service, you can avoid all the noise.
No more unexpected surcharges, hidden fees, or complex rate structures.
It's just easy, cost-effective, and dependable shipping. Tune your business's frequency to success and turn shipping to your advantage. Learn how at USPS.com/advantage. USPS Ground Advantage. Simple, affordable, reliable.
They say that variety is the spice of life. That couldn't be truer than with the all-new 2024 Upstate Craft Beer Passport. On sale now for just $40 at upstatecraftbeerpassport.com. 20 breweries and 2 bonus distillery stops with free tasting and tours at Swamp Fox and Red Border Distilleries. We've got a cold one with your name on it at Carolina Bowen House in Greenville and Anderson. Get the 2024 Upstate Craft Beer Passport now for just $40 at upstatecraftbeerpassport.com. Hey, hungry for lunch? Head to Three Friends Bar and Grill. Enjoy made-from-scratch salads, sandwiches, and burgers. Watch the game while savoring our fresh, never-frozen dishes. Visit us in the Public Shopping Center on Wade Hampton or in Moonville. Check out our full menu at threefriendsbar.com.
Meet Cheryl. Hey. She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's got to be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more with yours.
Chase mobile. Friday nights are open now.
Adam, Chase Bank, and a member of
that might be
This
in
is
the
the
car
story
if
of
I
the
have
one.
a,
As a
I have
facility
a car by
technician
then.
installing a new welding station, he knows getting the ventilation right is critical for safety. That's why when questions arise, there's Grainger. Grainger offers detailed technical product information online at his fingertips, so it's easy to find what he needs. Because when it comes to safety, having answers means he and his people can breathe a little easier. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Upstate.
WYRD Greenville.
WORD Spartanburg.
WFBC HD3 Greenville. The official sports voice.
QC in the first break.
10-4.
An Odyssey Sports Station.
Man, check this out.
You're on official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah, Rob.
Only on
The Fan. Upstate.
Hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Fan Upstate. Great to have you all here on a lovely Upstate Tuesday morning. I have, not that those of you listening to the show didn't already know this, but spectacular news. There are 0 more Saturdays in the year of 2024 that don't contain football. 0 more Saturdays where we will wake up and not have game day. 0 more Saturdays where we will wake up and not have Kirk and Reese and the boys on a Saturday morning. 0 more Saturdays where we will wake up and not look at the watch and go, all right, 3 more hours to kick and then 14 hours of Saturday. College football after that. And oh, by the way, we got a good slate of NFL preseason games this week. We got a couple of them on Thursday night, a few more on Saturday, a handful wrapped up on Sunday as well. And once we get those in the back pocket, ladies and gentlemen, just like that, the NFL season will be upon us as well. Can't wait. Let's go. Hey, we're talking college football on the show so far this morning. We've talked a little Big Ten so far today. We will talk some Southeastern Conference on tomorrow's show. For those of you that have asked where the SEC talk is, that's coming up tomorrow on the program. We'll deep dive that conference as well. But let's stick with the Big Ten right now. Is there a wild card in the Big Ten this year? Is there a team that we are not talking about? Is there a team we have not gotten to? Is there a team that might jump up and bite some folks? Let's get into that a little bit. Now, I'll start with one that I don't know if it is a wild card, but I will say that if you believe a head coach being on the hot seat if you believe a head coach being in danger is the type of head coach that becomes dangerous to everybody else, are we writing USC off before this season starts? It's a top 25 team. They rank at 23. Problem is, last year, they checked in as high as a top 5 team, and they definitely weren't that. They started the season 6-0. Caleb Williams was considered all but a lock for the Heisman Trophy last year, and then it all fell apart. Started 6-0, lost 5 out of their last 7 games. One of those wins, by the way, was a win over Louisville in the Holiday Bowl, which I don't count or care about when it comes to season rankings looking in retrospect. But that win moved USC to 8-5, the worst ever finish for Lincoln Riley as a head coach. The dude has been, I'm sorry to say, lackluster as a head coach at USC. This team ranks 71st in ESPN S&P Plus's returning production ranking, including 95th on offense. Now, a lot of that has to do with the fact that Caleb Williams is gone. And Caleb Williams was a big part, if not the big part, of the USC offense last year, losing the first overall NFL draft pick this year. Of course, that is going to take some shine off the metaphorical apple here. But they do bring in a blue chipper in Malachi Nelson. They lost blue chipper Malachi Nelson, who transferred to Boise State. Maybe not a big loss, by the way, because Boise State announced yesterday that Malachi Nelson did not win their set. Could you imagine, Lonzo, transferring away from LA, transferring away from USC, transferring away from the Song Girls, and then not winning the Boise State starting quarterback job? Ouch, bro. Big ouch. Anyway, USC.
Sorry, I have no words for that.
Yeah. Imagine leaving the sunshine and blue skies of sunny Los Angeles, California. Imagine leaving the Song Girls, the best looking group of gals in college football. Imagine leaving all of that behind to go to Boise, Idaho, and end up being the backup quarterback when you likely, though not guaranteed, but likely would have been the starting quarterback for the USC Trojans had you stuck it out. Hey, man, it's your decision, but adult opportunity comes with adult consequences, does it not? All right.
Maybe you just didn't want to go to Big Ten country. Maybe that's what it was.
That was it. So he went to Boise, Idaho. Noted tourist attraction.
What conference is Boise State in now?
Mountain West, I believe.
Okay. All right.
You know, again, at least you don't have to go to Ann Arbor, Michigan when you can play your games in beautiful Boise, Idaho.
If I had the choice between Boise and Ann Arbor, I'm probably going with Boise.
I mean, you are. But you would also take a guaranteed win over Michigan over a national championship game. So, you know, it is what it is.
Did I say that? Did I say that?
I mean, you didn't. You didn't. I think I no to it.
I think I said Ohio State fans would say that. I didn't say I said that.
Right, but you're an Ohio State fan.
Absolutely.
So you would say that.
Well, you didn't ask me personally if I said that. So that's what I'm saying. If
I assume when you said Ohio State fans, as you are one of them, that was your point.
Although I am a person of the people and speak for them often, I cannot speak for all Ohio State fans.
I thought you could. I thought that was literally your job, was to be the voice of the horse chestnuts.
All right, so I'm trying to downplay it. Absolutely, I want to beat Michigan over a national championship. Won plenty of national championships. You know,
who needs them?
It's a historic,
overrated,
it's a blue blood team. You know, it's not. You know, act like you've been there. We've been there. Okay. Michigan needs to be beat, and I said we because, as you just pointed out, I am representative of all Ohio State fans. So yeah, you know, and last year it doesn't even count because they cheated, and we know they cheated. Everyone knows they cheated. It should be stricken from the records.
Stricken from the records.
Strike it from the records.
USA also lost leading wide receivers Taj Washington and Brendan Rice to the NFL. They lost Mario Williams and Dorian Singer to the transfer portal. On the flip side, defensively, they do return some starters to a unit that finished 119th in total defense last season. They do have a new coordinator in Deontan Lynn who will step into the job. Here's the good news for USC, if there is any this year. The good news for the USC Trojans is that the schedule, being in the Big Ten, is relatively manageable. They do start on the 1st of September with a matchup against number 13 LSU. That game is in Las Vegas. And while for a lot of teams that would likely look to be a USC home game, LSU fans are certifiably bat bleep insane. That's going to be a 50-50 mix at the best. I wouldn't be shocked if it even had a 55-45 slight lean LSU. But after that, they got Utah State in week 2. Week 3, September 21st, they visit Ann Arbor for the first time as a member of the Big Ten Conference. After that, Wisconsin, Minnesota. They do have Penn State on October 12th, but the Nittany Lions come out to sunny South Central to take on the Trojans. That is a home game for the LA school. They're at Maryland, back home against Rutgers, up at Washington, and a Pac-12 rivalry renewed. Then they go back to LA to welcome in the Cornhuskers of Nebraska. They finish up at UCLA on November 23rd, and on the 30th, they are back home to renew their rivalry with the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. That's a manageable conference schedule, though they do have the bookends of an LSU opener and a Notre Dame closer. I hate to say I'm a believer in Notre Dame this year because I'm not a believer in Notre Dame, but I do think under Marcus Freeman, if nothing else, the roster he's put together for Notre Dame should make them competitive enough just with talent on the football field. We'll find out. Outside of the bookends, Lonzo, USC avoids the Buckeyes. They have to go to Ann Arbor, but they got Penn State coming to the house. I'm not ready to say USC is a wild card because they were bad last year and they lost a ton of talent. What I am saying is Lincoln Riley has got to feel like his back is against the wall a little bit. And if that is any motivation to a guy who got this job for a reason, I'd like to think there's a little gas in the tank for USC. I am putting them in that same category that I'm putting, say, SMU and NC State. I don't think they win the conference. I do think they have a say in who does.
Well, it's brutal. Everybody else playing but don't downplay Penn State. Penn State every 2 or 3 years has a really good team. I mean, they're ranked for a reason. I think Penn State can take USC. And even though I've been dogging Michigan all day because it's my job, they may be down this year, but they're not going to be that down. And I think they can handle USC also. I think the only West Coast team that's coming over that really has a shot at it is probably Oregon. Maybe
I would agree with that.
Maybe Washington. I don't know. What do you got with Washington?
I'm not. Washington's not a threat. Washington lost Roma Dunze. They lost Michael Penix Jr. They lost Kalen DeBoer, the guy that put all that together. And on top of that, did you know, we're going to talk about this coming up in a minute. Did you know that some front offices, Lonzo, are hiring general managers now? Have you heard of this?
Well, I read about it because you put in that. Before that, no, I had not.
I hadn't either.
But do you know what that's more proof of?
Oh, we're NFLizing the college football landscape.
Yes.
I was unaware that some schools have begun to hire general managers. Washington, the Huskies, and Kalen DeBoer had a general manager. That general manager followed Kalen DeBoer over to the University of Alabama. That general manager's name is Courtney Morgan. Courtney Morgan is not only a general manager who put together the roster that took the University of Washington to a national championship appearance last year, but Courtney Morgan is a general manager who is now getting paid $825,000 per year by the University of Alabama to be their general manager. We're going to come to that here in just a handful of minutes.
Yeah, because I'm looking up trying to figure out what the heck a general manager in college football does.
I've got some ideas after having read a little bit more about Courtney Morgan after I read that story this morning. And maybe I'm a dumb out of touch radio guy, but I had not heard that schools were going with GMs now. But here we are with Alabama, one of the biggest schools in the country, going with a GM. They're paying just a tick shy of $1 million a year to do it. Very interesting.
So even
We'll
in the GM definition from AI overview, whatever that is, overlords might as well be, says players and coaches handling contracts, negotiations, and free agents.
So that is what a general manager does in the professional level.
Well, this is sure. I'm just saying that's what it says in this definition for college GM, because I specifically put that in.
Okay. I mean, listen, I get it, right? And speaking of contracts and money, our guy Mike Gundy decided to get back into the mix yesterday with a couple of bites. So we're going to come to that here in a minute as well. I'm not shocked by that at all. And I do want to make a segment out of that. So we'll come back around to it. Want to finish up the thought on Penn State here. There are some takes that I hate to issue because the takes are what they come across as lazy. They come across as a take that everybody has. They come across as a take that it's like, all right, what ground are you breaking with this take? And with this take, the answer is there's not really any ground being broken here. With this take, there's not really any ground that I am going to make. I mean, we can try to put our thumb on the reasons why this take exists, but I think if we could, so would James Franklin. I don't trust Penn State as far as I can throw James Franklin, and I haven't worked out in a while, so that's probably not very far. Penn State, great one, has had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to win a big game and place themselves into the national conversation around college football, and they have just failed and failed and failed again, to the point that I am looking at Penn State, and I'm thinking this team, even with Drew Allar, this team isn't any better than any of the other teams, I don't think, that James Franklin has had so far this year. This team isn't any more impressive than any of the other teams that James Franklin has put together. And if he's not been able to do it for any of the other seasons, why would I expect that to, for some reason, suddenly change now? Why would I expect Penn State to suddenly get to the next level? Now, the answer might be because Penn State might be the team that most benefits from the expanded playoff because they're always just right outside that pecking order. But again, Even with 6 top 12 finishes under James Franklin, they're not beating Michigan and they're not beating Ohio State. And if they're not beating those two teams, why in the world would I believe that there's another step forward in them? I don't.
I'm so shocked you haven't mentioned Matt Rule once.
I mean, we got to tuck some Husker ball coming up. Lot of Husker fans in the hood. We'll talk a little Matt Rule later in the show. When we do come back in a minute, let's talk a little bit about that Courtney Morgan story. A general manager hired by the University of Alabama to the tune of $825,000 a year. Is that story off-putting to you? We'll address that when we come back. I am Rob. He is Lonzo. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate.
QC.
Get Rob. This is the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to tell you about our friends at QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in non-surgical regenerative therapy. For joint pain, listen, if you are dealing with joint pain and you go see a doctor or an orthopedic surgeon or whatever, there's a good chance they're going to tell you, we got to put you under. We got to give you anesthesia. We got to slice and dice, and we got to go in there and cut and scrape and rebuild and replace. Listen, before you do any of that, here is what I want you to do. I want you to get in touch with my friends at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics has an incredible regenerative therapy that they can use to help you get rid of the joint pain and get your life back without the anesthesia, without the surgery, without the downtime, the physical therapy, the steroids, any of that. You go in, you get the same therapy that professional athletes have been getting for years. It regenerates the connective tissue in your joints. You get rid of the joint pain and you get your life and all the things that you love doing in it back. It is that simple and it works. That's why they've got tens of thousands of satisfied patients around the country. Go to their website, qckinetics.com, qckinetics.com, or call them at 864-448-3772 in Greenville and in Asheville, 864-448-3772. Mention the Rob Brown Show. Get your consultation for free with our friends at QC Kinetics.
They understood the assignment. I'm Anish Shroff with this Panthers update.
The only way to be your best self is with your best health. When you have a health partner who doesn't just treat part of you, they care for all of you. That's why more people prefer Atrium Health, because unrivaled care is easier, more accessible, and more complete than ever before, so that you can enjoy more of the moments you love. That's what it means to live meaningfully, to live joyfully, to live fully with Atrium Health.
The Panthers scored a touchdown on the final play of Saturday's preseason game.
7 seconds to go, quickly under center. Johnson, the single setback. Handoff, Dylan Johnson hit behind the line of scrimmage, twisting his way down to the goal line. Touchdown, Panthers, as time runs out.
It didn't impact the game's outcome, but for head coach Dave Canales, it signaled something else.
The mentality that we're looking for was captured in that moment, and I thought it was just so cool because that's Panthers football, the standard. So it's like regardless of where you're at any time with us, it's got to feel that way. And so I was just so excited to be able to point to that in front of the team and go, that's what we look like right there. And that'll be a 4-minute drill. We'll be ahead in some games. We'll finish with running the ball the way we want to.
Since taking over as head coach, finish has been a common refrain for Canales.
That's who we are. We're a finishing team, and that's the message to the team is let our calling card be finish. We finish everything we do, finish plays, drives, quarters, halves, finish games, finish seasons. With that mentality that we're going to be there all the way. As long as there's time on the clock, we're going to be playing.
The Panthers finished the
Apparently someone didn't notice
Saturday.
that I left the room. You're just hiding.
Come on. Go lay down. Go lay down. Good girl.
He's in his bunker, Zach. He heard about an alien invasion. And so, during which I'm essential. So I have to be here. So
Yeah,
until
my favorite thing about the pandemic era is that we, by and large, accepted that working from home works. Well, not everybody did. We did.
No, the one positive thing about the pandemic was the lack of people on the roads. I got here so fast. Dude, I was able to look around and go, my people, all us essentials, the only ones out on the road. Mac, do you not have a man cave at home? A place of your own?
Baby.
A place where you may put all your stuff?
Yeah,
Mine-
I got the custom jersey over here. I can switch them out between any of them. Got the Wallow random crap back here that I needed to fill a wall. I got a couple new things. I'm going to be making some changes here.
Uh-oh. You're gonna put some things away.
I'm gonna rotate some stuff in and out.
Disappointed in the lamp. I think you need a different lamp. You just need a different lamp.
Why do I need it? It's remote control. I can control it from my
Yeah,
phone.
but you need at least a sports shade on that thing.
You know what's really funny? Outside of the jerseys, there's really nothing overtly like sports about this room. Like I got
dude, that wall back there is all sports.
No,
that
it's
aren't
not all
jerseys.
sports. I got a Captain America plaque. I got a Saints. I got a Jimi Hendrix record. I've got a guitar.
Some of
I've
that's
got a
blocked, by the
motorcycle
way.
plaque. I got my old Florida license plate. Like, there's very little outside of the hats and the jerseys. Like, I got a couple of autographed hockey pucks up here. Like, I got one the Predator sent me for a couple of years back. Pretty dope. But like, there's not a ton of legit sports stuff in here.
On and leave it on.
Afternoons 3 to 7 on the Fan Upstate.
Always streaming wherever you are on the Odyssey app. Make the Fan Upstate a favorite.
The Rob Brown Show continues. It's the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown and the great Malonzo with you here on the show. Be a part of the show. You can text the 71307 as the text line. Start that text with FAN, F-A-N. We'll read them on the air. FAN, F-A-N. We will read them on the air. Texter said, Clemson fan here. I'll take a loss to Carolina for a guaranteed natty all day. Hush, Lonzo. We have 2 to your last one. 31-0, baby.
Last time Clemson and Clemson and Ohio State faced each other, it was ugly for Clemson. And also, as far as national championships go, okay, historically, Ohio State's got you beat. Sorry.
Texter said, Rob, missed Raw. Did anything of note happen in the wrestling world? Yeah, a few things of note happen. As Lonzo pointed out earlier, not a great week to be a fan, a friend of the show and a professional wrestler. Real bad record for the Rob Brown Show in the pro wrestling ring this past week. So we'll get to your Fight Club coming up this Thursday at 9:20 when Lonzo takes us into the world of professional combat sports. But did want to get to this story real quick. The University of Alabama has signed football general manager Courtney Morgan to a new precedent-setting contract following a summer approach from USC. According to ESPN, Morgan will now earn an average of $825,000 annually under the 3-year contract, a deal that bolsters his place. Oh, there's that word, Lonzo. Bolsters his place as college football's highest paid front office figure. The new deal was approved by the University of Alabama Board of Trustees yesterday, but sources tell ESPN the updated contract was agreed upon a number of weeks ago. It just took some time to make it official. Morgan's upgraded salary figures were initially reported by 24/7 Sports. Morgan is the GM behind Washington's 2024 national runner-up finish. Stands among college football's highest rising stars with this contract. Spent the past 2 seasons with Kalen DeBoer at Washington, followed the 49-year-old coach to Alabama earlier this year when they replaced Nick Saban with Kalen DeBoer. The former Michigan, San Jose State, and Fresno State staffer has been critical in assembling a 2025 recruiting class that sits second nationally in ESPN's latest team rankings for the cycle. Initially, I read this, and I was like, oh, goodness gracious, the old heads are about to get real mad, because how do you NFLize college football even more than creating and paying mucho dinero to a general manager?
Any local colleges around here looking to hire a general manager, Rob and I both available separately, not as a team, and we're willing to make at least as much as this person did.
I mean, I'd be willing to go as a team, Lonzo. We can split $825,000 a year. I'd be okay with that.
Okay, so I'll work Tuesday and Wednesday, and you can work Monday, Thursday, and Friday.
How do I get the extra day for a split salary?
We both work on Saturday because you're a knower of ball. You have a PhD and only have a GED. So I mean, you know.
All right, fine. I get $425. You get $400. I'll work the extra day.
Dude, you can have 700 and I'll take 100. I'm good with that. I'm good. I'll take that.
Listen, this is, and having read up on, and again, I don't think it is super well covered, but in having read up on what Courtney Morgan does, guys, he's basically director of recruiting. It's basically what he does. Now, my understanding is he obviously is going to assist in the land of NIL. He's obviously going to assist in making sure that NIL contracts are good, that they are valid, that the school is protected, that the team is protected, that obviously the players are protected, yada, yada, yada. But that is an added responsibility to what, to me, is effectively a repackaging of recruiting director for a major school. I guess my thought remains, I'm not super concerned about the NFLizing of college football when nothing has really changed. But here is a cat making $825,000 for a off the field role. And you guys are mad about a couple of football players making a few $1,000s from a local wing joint to promote some wings. Okay. Like, I'm not worried about it.
I knew you work your way around to that eventually. But again, it all comes down to they're no longer student athletes. This is a business. A business requires extra oversight, including general managers.
But here's the thing. They rebranded it. It's not a new position. He's director of recruiting. He's just got another job responsibility. Again, we will fight until it happens. Until the schools pay them, they are not employees. They are athletes who are now able to take their athletic fame and make money elsewhere. But no, I am not going to bash players for making a few grand from Bob's Used Cars when Courtney Morgan is getting paid almost $1 million a year to be recruiting director. Like, I don't feel bad about it. When they get paid from the school for which they play, then we can call them employees. And before you hit me with, they get the room and the board and that. Okay, but they've always gotten that. So have they always been employees?
Again, they're getting paid from outside, but it's still getting paid to play. If they weren't playing, they wouldn't be getting paid. So it's an argument that it's useless because neither one of us is going to back down, and I'm right.
But you're not though. When I read an endorsement from a company on the air, it doesn't make me an employee of that company. But in any definition of the word. All right. So Courtney Morgan, a GM for Alabama, catching $825K a year, moving forward to be glorified recruiting director. Are we good with it? Or does this make you concerned that it is another step in the direction of professionalizing amateur sports? We'll talk more about that later on. Plenty more college football to get to as the show rolls on. It is the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate.
New life.
Join the debate and let your voice be heard on our show. This is the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
You know, I got a phone call a few months ago. Hey, Rob Brown, would you like the opportunity to work with New Life Weight Loss? And I said, I don't know, man. I've done the weight loss thing before, and so many times they're like, all right, here's the rule. In the morning, you may have one chalky, gross milkshake. And then when you get to the afternoon, you may eat one stalk of celery. You may have one sip of water. You may sniff a chicken breast, and that is your meal until we get you to your goal weight. And no, by the way, when you get to the goal weight, it's still the same thing, except now you can have one bite of chicken. And I didn't really want to do that. So I went to their website, New Life Weight Loss, at mynewlifeweightloss.com, and I read all about how their program works, which includes finding a program that fits within your lifestyle. My life is bananas, B-A-N-A-N-A-S. It's wild. I'm up very early in the morning. I sleep until I don't go to sleep until very late at night. And as has been attested to on this program many, many times, I work like 77 jobs throughout the sports calendar. So finding a program that worked for my life I knew was going to be challenging, but I said, why not? Let's give it a go. Well, guess what? Here we are about 3 months later. Rob Brown is down 44.5 pounds. He is down 10 inches off of the waistline. I got fitted for my wedding suit coming up in just over a month away from now. And y'all, I feel good. Not just in terms of my confidence in how I look, because I look the best I've looked in a very long time. I went to an event last Friday night with a group of people I haven't seen in a while, and one of them walked right past me because she didn't recognize who I was. And when I threw on that suit, oh boy, did I feel myself a little bit. But I also feel healthier. I'm sleeping better. I'm sleeping longer. Things are coming easier to me. It has worked for me to drop the LBs, drop the inches, gain confidence, and gain better feeling pretty much all the time. And if it's worked for me, it'll work for you. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to call New Life Weight Loss today at 864-686-5820. And I want you to tell them you heard about them on the Rob Brown Show. You do that before the end of August, and New Life will give you $250 off of their program. $250 off just by mentioning the Rob Brown Show to New Life Weight Loss. Call them 864-686-5820. Mention the Rob Brown Show. $250 off from our friends at New Life Weight Loss.
I'm Chuck Sanders. Here's the Sports Flash presented by Progressive. The Falcons play.
Traffic does bog down at Brockman-McClyman. From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on the Fan Upstate.
Sent you something on Twitter. It will work perfect behind you. I'm just saying.
Reunion, starring Marcus King Band, the Avett Brothers.
Gotta be a tall lamp. It's on the
horses.
No, it's a lampshade.
Oh, the shade.
Yeah, you just take the shade off of your lamp right there, put that on there, boom.
Saturday and Sunday, August 24th and 25th. CCNB Amphitheater, Simpsonville. Tickets, VIP, and travel packages on sale now at MarcusKingFamilyReunion.com. The Marcus King Band Family Reunion.
Surprise your bet QL people haven't complained about that plain white
this Sunday for the
lampshade
Leo
back
Santa
there.
Car Show. Preferred Home Services, Healthy Blue, Greenville Heritage Federal Credit Union, and Greenville County Law Enforcement have partnered with Odyssey to collect toys for upstate children. Learn more at leosantachristmas.com.
The lowest price is guaranteed, plus 0% interest until September 2026. Now at Jeff Lynch Appliance and TV Center's Price Crusher Sale. Up to $1,500 cash back on vested class Bosch appliances. Free Sony 4K Blu-ray player with smart TVs, 65-inch and larger. Sealy's Firm Tight Top Queen Mattress, now only $377. Receive up to $500 in-store gift card with furniture purchases at Jeff Lynch. The lowest price is guaranteed, plus 0% interest until September 2026. Now at Jeff Lynch's Price Crusher Sale.
This is the story of the one. As a warehouse manager, her job is to transform chaos into clarity and to see patterns where others see problems. Luckily, she's got a partner who shares her perspective. Grainger offers over 1 million industrial-grade products, backed by real person support and in-depth online resources, so she can tackle every task with precision and turn potential setbacks into streamlined success. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate.
not a rate based on Terry who keeps and makes the car behind them. Oh no, they're about to. Save with DriveWise and the Allstate app and only pay a rate based on you.
1
Not available
minute.
in every state, subject to terms and conditions. Rating factors and savings vary, and in some states your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. And look at you, hands perfectly placed on the wheel. Not like the driver to the right of you who's really going after that drum solo. Save with DriveWise and the Allstate app and only pay a rate based on you.
Not available in every state, subject to terms and conditions. Rating factors and savings vary, and in some states your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
This is the story of the one. As a facility technician installing a new welding station, he knows getting the ventilation right is critical for safety. That's why when questions arise, there's it done.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, The Fan.
Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville. 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Always live on the Free Odyssey app. Now, the Infinity Sports Network. Rise and shine, sports fans. Let's drink! Grab your coffee and get a jolt of sports on The Rob Brown Show with Lonzo. Now, weekday morning 6 to 10 on The Fan. Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show carries on. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob Lonzo, when you join our live stream, by the way, at facebook.com/the Fan Upstate. The Fan Upstate on YouTube. The Rob Brown Show on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. We stream to all of those locations, all 4 hours, all 5 days, all weeks of the year, except when we're not here, in which case we won't. You'll just have to deal with it. Zach asks, will you have the Moving the Chains boys on Friday this week? The answer, Zach, is yes. Got a chance on Sunday to catch up with our boy Kevin from Moving the Chains. He and either John or Jarrell will begin their weekly segments with us on Fridays.
Come
Once
on,
again,
we're not getting Jarrell. We had him like twice. He's just he's so amazing that it's a limited appearances, I guess.
Jarrell's the only dude I know that is worse than me at saying I'll be there and then not being there. He's the only guy I know that makes me look good in that capacity, you know? So we'll see. I'm sure we'll get some time out of our guy Jarrell Hendricks this year. Looking forward to that. Kev will be here for sure, and either John or Jarrell will be here with him, and then some combination of two of the three will be with us every Friday through the remainder of the high school football season. And don't forget, of course, every Friday night, Burns High School football right here on the Fan Upstate with the voice of the Burns Rebels, Cole Bryson. He's back in the box this year. Burns football is going to be on the road every week this year as historic Nixon is getting that renovation it has so desperately needed. Make sure you check out Cole and my guys Sam and Lane every Friday night for Burns Rebels High School football right here on the Fan Upstate. Let's get some more.
Don't forget Saturday, dude.
Oh, and the Saturday morning scramble. That's right. With Cole Bryson and friend of the show, Alex Guest, will be airing every Saturday at 8 a.m. They will discuss the evening's football before and take you through the results in the standings of the high school football season. The Saturday morning scramble airs every Saturday at 8 a.m. with Cole Bryson and Alex Guest. And of course, while we're telling you about all of the incredible programming that takes place right here on the Fan Upstate, don't forget, the Fan Upstate is your home for Furman Paladin football this year and every year. The voice of the Paladins, Dan Scott, climbing back in the box with Tom Van Noy. They will get their season going August 31st, just 11 days away from the kickoff of the 2024 Furman Paladin season. They kick off big road test out of the gate. They are down in Oxford, Mississippi, when they take on Joey Freshwater, a.k.a. Lane Kiffin, and his Ole Miss Rebels on August 31st. They return back to FU on September 7th, a little nighttime action when Charleston Southern comes to town. They have 3 night games this year. Great one. 3 night games in a row. This year, the Charleston Southern game, 6 p.m. kick from Paladin Stadium, and they are calling it FU After Dark, the Trilogy. I am all in on the FU branding. Let's go. Furman, back in action.
You really
August
expect
31st.
me to comment on that? Because I don't want to be negative about, a team that we care. I just don't care for the
FU one time. FU 2 times.
No, don't do it.
FU 3 times.
Really? Come on.
FU all the time, baby. How about the Dins?
Wow.
August 31st at Ole Miss, back home September 7th against Charleston Southern, and then September 14th, 2 p.m. when they take on the Hatters of Stetson before going back on the road the 21st night of September at William and Mary. Dan Scott and Tom Van Oy on the call for you all season long. All right. We got a couple of minutes here in coming up in this segment. One thing I'd like to do in the next hour of the show, and we addressed this a little bit last week. We're going to kind of keep rolling through it. The schools with the most difficult schedules entering the 2024 season, whomst are they, and how do they survive? I'm going to give you number one out of the gate. The number one school, in my opinion, this year with the most difficult schedule, and it's real bad for the guy that's in charge. But my goodness, the Florida Gators have themselves quite a schedule ahead of them, including a great one, ending the season with 5 consecutive games against teams ranked inside the AP top 13. They end the season in Jacksonville against number 1 Georgia. Then they go to Austin to play number 4 ranked Texas. Back home for number 13 LSU. Back home for number 6 Ole Miss. And then on the road at number 10 Florida State. What a ride that Billy Napier, a coach that's already on the hot seat, has to take his team on to wrap the season. And oh, by the way, that doesn't include opening up against number 19 Miami. 2 weeks later, playing the Colt, Texas A&M. 2 weeks after that, on the road at number 15 Tennessee. Lonzo, over half of Florida's schedule this year, over half of their schedule are AP top 20 teams. Not 25, not 30, not 50. Over half of Florida's games this year are against AP top 20 teams. Good freaking luck, Florida. Florida might not be bowl eligible at the end of this year. That's not a joke.
Yeah, but it's going to hurt me to say this. What if they are successful against all that? What if they were?
Then Billy Napier is going to receive some sort of Medal of Honor from the University of Florida.
No, if they're successful in at least a bunch of that, they'll be in the mix for a playoff.
There is, and let me be very clear about this, and I'll do it now while noted little brother and Gator fan is in the audience right now. There is a 0% chance this team sniffs a playoff seed. 0% chance, because there is a 0% chance this team is doing better than 8-4 at the absolute. I'll give you the Samford win. I'll give you, though I don't think it's a guarantee, the Mississippi State win. I'll give you the UCF win. Hell, for the sake of discussion, I'll give you the Kentucky win. And what the hell? For funsies, I'll give you a Florida State win to wrap the year. That's 5. Where's the other 3 between Miami, A&M, Tennessee, Georgia, Texas, LSU, and Ole Miss? Where's my 3 wins to get to 8? This team may not be bowl eligible.
You trust Tennessee? I don't know about
Yes,
that.
I am big in on Tennessee. They got a wide receiver who goes by
You're big
Squirrel.
in on Tennessee every year.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not a Tennessee guy. I am this year.
Mm-hmm. You were a big
Josh
North Carolina
Heupel-
guy last year too, was it, or was that the year before?
I was a what guy?
North Carolina guy.
Yeah, North Carolina was
Or was
fine.
it the year before? Which was the year where they just did really, really bad? I
don't think they've had a year where they did really, really bad. They didn't get to the ACC title game, but also who in the hell expected Florida State to do what Florida State did last year? Literally nobody. So I don't feel bad about it. Tennessee is going to be dynamic on offense this year, like dynamic. Nico Iamaleava is going to be, I'm not ready to say he's going to be in New York at the Heisman Trophy celebration. I wouldn't be shocked if he is. Florida is going, honestly, they'll be fighting for 6-6 this year. I think this is Billy Napier's last year, 6-6 at the best for the Gators. Now, the national champion of sports flashes, Lonzo.
I'm at least vying for it. You know, got to strive for heights unyet achieved. Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa has criticized former head coach Brian Flores during an interview with Dan Labertard yesterday. Tua described Flores as hypercritical, saying that Flores openly questioned his ability and talent, stating that he hadn't earned the right to be an NFL quarterback. Flores entered multiple legal suits for discrimination against the Dolphins after he was fired and replaced by current coach Mike McDaniel. Los Angeles Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert was spotted practicing with the team yesterday, the first time he's been seen under center since being diagnosed with a plantar fascia injury in his right foot in late July. I do believe that's French. Wire to wire today, 3-7 right here on The Fan.
Up to the minute, upstate traffic. The Cordell and Cordell crash cam shows that crash. Northbound 85 at Augusta Road has traffic stop and go back to Highway 86. Southbound 85, you'll hit your brakes at the 101. You won't get back to full speed until you pass the Pelham Road work zone. Traffic does bog down at Brockman-McClyman. From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on The Fan, Upstate.
Ready to take your business to the next level? In today's fast-paced marketing world, staying ahead isn't just an option, it's essential. That's where scale marketing comes in. We don't just help you compete, we make sure you win. Whether you're looking to grow.
Killing me, Steven. You really are. I always want to try to mess up on the one that I know the boss is listening to. So, you know. That's sarcasm, of course. That's usually my strongest one. It wasn't today, you know. Not having the support system across from me is off-putting, and it's causing me to not perform as I normally would. So, as usual, I'm blaming Rob. Moles, feel free to tell him.
I can hear you.
It's all his fault. For several reasons, Shane. Just because one, it's a little lonely in here. It gets that way. But the other thing is there's a not even a half-second delay, but there's enough of a delay that it throws everything off just a little bit. Like usually I don't play cuts over Rob talking, but I can't judge his hesitations because they're a little bit different when he's not here. There's just a lot of things. It's technical. Here's the thing, Mac. Sometimes people forget to turn their mics on. That's all the game is. To see who has less times messing up during the week. And it wasn't something that we sat down and decided, hey, we're going to do this. It just, we instantly started doing that.
That's what happens when you have a pair of perfectionists working together.
It's called award-winning chemistry. That's what it is.
It's also true.
You won't. It's just enough to know it's a sound thing, Shane. That's why someone can't sing at home while you're playing music here. It's just it's small, but it's enough to throw things off.
Man, check this out.
This week we're 0-0.
I mean, I don't have a mic to turn
Plus, you
off.
can't do it while he's not in the studio. So.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
And if I don't turn my mic on, he won't notice.
Upstate.
The final hour of the Rob Brown Show is live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown, the great one, Alonzo, with you here on a lovely upstate Tuesday morning. We have been talking a ton of college football so far this morning. We've got some more NFL to go, get into a little bit of Atlanta Braves baseball coming up here in just a few minutes from now as the Bravos set for a 3-gamer against the Philadelphia Phillies, the NL East leading Philadelphia Phillies, who currently sit on a 7-game lead over the Atlanta Braves right now, obviously up against each other. That means every game is worth a full game in the standings, meaning the Braves could bring that lead down to as small as 3 games by the end of this series if they were to pull off the sweep. I do not doubt it. Or do not believe that will happen. But we'll talk some Braves ball later on in the show. But we've got a lot more to get into. We started this in the last segment, got a little carried away, setting you up for football season with all the incredible programming we've got lined up for you during the football season over the next few months, as we have 0 more Saturdays to go through. If I had a dime for every Saturday without football the rest of the year, Lonzo, I would have
0 dimes.
0 dimes.
You wouldn't have any dimes. No.
0 dimes. Because this Saturday, we get football kicked off. Florida State, Georgia Tech in Dublin, Ireland will be game number 1. And then it is on. Football season is here, my dude. So let's keep going through that discussion. Lonzo and I discussed a little bit of Big Ten football earlier in the show. Now, taking a look at schools with the most difficult schedules that they have got to deal with so far this year. We opened up against Florida. Florida hasn't won more than 6 games in the last 2 years, the first 2 years of the Billy Napier regime. Napier, of course, came over from Louisiana, where he was in the Sun Belt Conference. Florida thought with all the success he had there would be a translation. There has not been, and it's about to get worse because, as we mentioned in the last segment, the Florida Gators, 7 of their 12 regular season games are against teams that are starting the year inside of the AP preseason top 20. I went through the schedule and I gave you 5 wins. That includes 3 games that I think are at the best toss-up games that Florida could win. Not will win, could win. And if that is the case, I don't see a path to 7. This team might be fighting for bowl eligibility, but let us keep going, shall we? Let's flip over and continue going down some of the most difficult regular season schedules out there. Next up on the list, how about the UCLA Bruins? Now, it is not quite as tough as the schedule in play for the Florida Gators, but it ain't a whole hell of a lot easier for the first year in the Big Ten for UCLA. They get Hawaii and Indiana out of the gate. But how about this 3-game stretch in weeks 3, 4, and 5? September 21st, this team is on the road in Baton Rouge to take on the LSU Tigers. They run it around the next weekend, the 28th, when they head back to Cal to take on the Oregon Ducks, ranked number 3. And then they've got to go for the very first time as members of the Big Ten out to Happy Valley to visit the Nittany Lions. And if I recall correctly, and I'm just now thinking about this, isn't this the game that they selected as the whiteout game? No, that's Washington. Okay, I was going to say, if UCLA's got to go LSU, Oregon, and then whiteout game at Penn State, that's going to be rough. But they do not. They avoid the whiteout. They come back Minnesota, at Rutgers, at Nebraska, then versus top 25 Iowa, at Washington, back home for USC, and they wrap it up with Fresno State. The first half of that season is almost as tough as the last half of Florida's season. That 3-game stretch is a murderer's row for UCLA. Welcome to the Big Ten, my dudes. Good luck with that. Here's another team that I think has got a bit of a tough schedule ahead of them. Another team that basically the end of the schedule is what's going to get them. Lonzo, the Colorado Buffaloes. Coach Prime has got a schedule ahead of him that, relative to where the Buffaloes are coming off of last year, ain't pretty. And I'm going to
Hey, really quick, don't think he didn't notice that you used the word bolster several times during this program today. He's aware.
What's that word mean? What's that word mean? Come on, Dion. Come on, guy. Be better. We all want you to be better. They open on August 29th, just 9 days away from the start of the Buffalo season. And here's the fun thing, great one. They've got North Dakota State coming to the house. The Bison are coming to the house. The Bison are a dangerous team. This is a team that is absolutely capable of pulling this upset. This is a team that last year lost 3 games in total. This is a team that last year played in the FCS championship at the semifinal level and took the Montana Grizzlies to a double overtime before they were ultimately knocked out. This is a good North Dakota State Bison program. And if Prime and the boys aren't ready, aren't clicking, if they are distracted by other people's vocabularies in the offseason a little too much, North Dakota State can pull this upset. And do not be shocked if they do. I'm putting you on notice right now. The Buffs on August 29th at 8 p.m. out there in Boulder, Colorado. Lonzo, they are on upset alert out of the gate.
Is that really an upset, though?
I mean, that's a Power 5 team dropping to an FCS team. I think that's almost always an upset.
Okay. I mean, I just don't think it would be surprising. If it's not surprising, it's not really. I don't know.
We'll find out. That's August 29th. Then they're at Nebraska. I'm not saying I'm putting him up there yet. But Matt Rule was a pretty damn good college football coach before he went to the NFL and failed miserably. Matt Rule was a pretty good college football coach before he decided to take on the NFL experiment. Matt Rule was a guy that has been a couple of places and had massive turnarounds. I'm not saying that happens this year for the Huskers. I'm saying the Huskers are going to be a better team this year. I'm saying the Huskers are going to be a dangerous team this year. I'm saying the Huskers are a team you're going to want to look out for because there are some upsets brewing at the hands of the Shuckers, and this is one of them. I could see Colorado going out to Lincoln, Nebraska, and going 0-2 to start the season. Then they're at Colorado State. You don't think the Rams want a little revenge from what happened last year? Baylor and at UCF. I'm not exaggerating when I tell you this team could start 0-5. I'm not done. 0-6 because Kansas State's coming to the house. The Wildcats are going to be good. 0-7 because they got to go to Arizona State. Arizona. The other Wildcats are going to be good. Cincinnati at Texas Tech, and they wrap it up with Cam Rising in Utah, the Kansas Jayhawks, and Mike Gundy's Boomer Oklahoma State Cowboys at in their rivalry weekend game. Lonzo, I don't even think I'm making a hot take when I tell you I think Colorado could legitimately go 2-10 this year.
Which is not unusual. That's what happened 2 years ago, right? And then Prime was able to double that, wasn't he?
He was. Got it to 4-8 last year. Definitely a step in the right direction. I think they go back a step in the wrong direction this year.
That is for sure a very tough schedule. I don't think they're going to be that bad, though.
I think, just speculation, the off-season drama between the kids in the portal, Dion and his boys giving them hell, the article written a couple of weeks ago that set Dion off, and now the fact that he's all up in the grill of the local media, and apparently that was not an isolated event. It's just the first one that got the big coverage. I wouldn't be not shocked if there is so much disappointment, excuse me, not disappointment. Well, there will be so much distraction with this team that they get a little lost in the sauce and it ultimately ends up hurting them. I would not be shocked if Colorado takes when I say step back, I'm talking like give a couple of games back, looking at 2-10, maybe 3-9 when it's all said and done. We'll find out. How about another one? This one is one that, I think a lot of people are giving them a bit of a pass because of who they are. I think a lot of people are giving them a bit of a pass because of the talent level, because of the stature of this program, because of where this program is. But what about the Georgia Bulldogs? They are the only team in the SEC that has road games against 3 of the top 4 favorites to win the conference. The 28th of September, they got to visit Alabama ahead of their rivalry game against Auburn a week later. Then they go to Texas for the first time since 1958 and a week after playing Florida and Jacksonville. And yes, Georgia's going to be a big favorite. Georgia should win that game going away. But the world's largest outdoor cocktail party is a rivalry game. That is a game that has a lot of discussion around it. A week after they play Florida, they've got Mississippi State, and then they host Tennessee on the 16th. And oh, by the way, in case that schedule wasn't enough for you, let's not forget they opened the season against Clemson, against Los Tigres in the ATL, a neutral site game. Again, unless Clemson just does something special, this is going to be a home field advantage for the Georgia Bulldogs. But while all these folks have been talking about who's got the toughest schedule, who's got the toughest path, who's going to have the hardest road to make it to the college football playoff, nobody is saying Georgia, because Georgia's Georgia, and that's commendable. That's understandable. Georgia's got a tough schedule this year, my guys. Georgia's got a very tough schedule. If Georgia doesn't make, with all the changes that they have had, with Carson Beck at quarterback, a guy that I think can be okay, but I do not believe in as a top quality quarterback. If Georgia's not careful out of the gate, the Dogs have a number of spots on this schedule that they could oops-a-daisy drop one. Remember, the Gamecocks went to Athens last year in a bit of a trap game scenario, and for a hot minute there, were beating the Georgia Bulldogs until Juice Wells got quote-unquote hurt. Man, I'm looking at Georgia's schedule right now. It is no breeze, man. Clemson. Then you got the tune-up games against Tennessee Tech and at Kentucky. Then you're at Alabama. Back home for Auburn. Big rivalry game. Mississippi State at home. At Texas. Jacksonville for the Florida game. At Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. I don't know how many of y'all believe in Lane Kiffin. I love Joey Freshwater. He cracks me up. But I kind of have him in that category of coaches that I'll believe can do it once they do it, right? He's not there yet. Not going to be an easy matchup. The Grove will be alive.
You're not convincing me here. So name a game in all the games that you've named so far for Georgia that they're not going to be favored.
Oh, they'll be favored in every game. But the war of attrition is no joke. There's nobody in America. You could stick them in any kind. You could have them play the AP top 12 in order weeks 1 to 12, and they would still be favored in every game. But how many heavy favorites at number 1 have we seen not finish the season undefeated? The question is not, are they favored or are they dogs in any game? It's when you've got a stretch, including 3 of the top 4 teams in the SEC outside of yourself being road games in Alabama, Texas, and Ole Miss. And you've got 2 extra rivalry games in Auburn and Florida. And you've got a Clemson team right out of the gate that's looking to prove themselves. The question is not who are they going to be a dog to, because the answer is nobody. The question, Lonzo, is who can upset them if they have a bad day. And the answer to me is literally any of the teams that I just named. Any of them could be the upset game.
Not buying it. I'm not. I think out of all of them, Clemson's got the best shot because it's the very first game.
Alabama at home is remarkably dangerous.
You can't convince me that Alabama's going to be good without Saban. You just can't.
That's fine
until I see it.
But when we get to week 7 and this team is 7-0 and dusting fools, I just need you to acknowledge that I know ball. That's all I need.
I will fill up my 1 when that happens.
1's up. All right, we got to run to a break. We come back, got a couple of segments left. All right, there's some of the tougher schedules that are out there across the college football landscape. Let's talk some NFL when we come back on the show. Get to some of the news and notes coming out of the league. We'll do that next. Rob Lonzo and you, the Rob Brown Show, is on the Fan Upstate.
Never miss a big moment with Rewind on the Odyssey app. Relive big moments. It's Rewind on the Fan Upstate.
All signs in Columbia are pointing towards Lenore Sellers indeed being named the starting quarterback. What do you mean named the starting quarterback? I thought Lenore Sellers was named the starting quarterback back in the summer. Well, he was, but because of Robbie Ashford and the way that QB2 has pushed QB1 this fall, there is a competition at the quarterback position for the South Carolina Gamecocks. There's a saying that says if you have two quarterbacks, you have none, but I don't believe that. Not in this situation, at least. I think Robbie Ashford is a very good backup for Lenore Sellers, and I think the South Carolina Gamecocks are in very good hands going into the season. What do you think? This is Cole from Wire to Wire.
Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson.
This afternoon, 3 to 7 on the Fan Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, and on the Odyssey app.
Ingles Markets is a proud sponsor of the Wire to Wire Sports Stack. From the playing field to the stands to your own living room, Ingles Markets has everything you need to fuel your athlete or satisfy all the hungry fans in your life. Ingles, low prices, love the savings. Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while. Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get. Lower testosterone. Yeah, I went through it a while back. Your body has less free testosterone. That eugenics tool makes a huge difference for me. I've seen that out on TV. Is it real? Reading is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels and help you trim up and stay lean. And it's made a difference for you. Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom. Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves? Yeah, you just need to send them a text. Text Rocky to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of T, the number one selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenics Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text ROCKY to 42424. That's Rocky to 42424. Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou, 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou, 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
Call 811 before you start any project that requires digging. It doesn't matter if you're installing a mailbox or digging with heavy machinery. Always call or click before you dig. Calling to have your underground lines marked is a free service and can help prevent you from damaging a utility line, which could result in injury or costly fines. It may even save your life. Simply call 811 or click sc811.com. Sponsored by South Carolina 811 and aired by the South Carolina Broadcasters Association and this station.
Golfers, spring is here, and there's no better way to get on the course than with the Upstate Golf Cart for just $80. You'll get access to premier Upstate courses like the Preserve in Verde, Carolina Springs, Rear Golf, The Rock, Rolling Greens, Wingso Tryon, and more. Grab your foursome and hit the course with the Upstate Golf Cart. Order yours today at upstategolfcart.com. 7 rounds of golf for only $80. Get yours now while supplies last. upstategolfcart.com. That's upstategolfcart.com.
Hey, this is Diesel from 93.3 The Planet and the Fan Upstate. I joke
jokingly have a saying about Jeeps and other off-road vehicles that I call painfully stock. It's a cool off-roader that has so much potential to look amazing, but looks kind of meh. Whether you're a Jeep guy like me or you've got a sports car, truck, or classic, update your vehicle's look with the latest styles, wheels, and tires from R&R Tire Express. If you want to stand out, there's no better way. Locations in Greenville, Spartanburg, and Anderson. RNRTires.com.
Defending Southern Conference champion Furman is ready to kick off the 2024 college football season. Hi, everybody. Dan Scott, voice of the Paladins here, inviting you to join me and all of the crew August 31st, Saturday night, as the Paladins go into SEC country to take on Ole Miss. The Pepsi pregame show will begin at 5:30 p.m. with the kick at 7 o'clock. It's Furman, Ole Miss, opening the 2024 college football season. Catch all the action on the Fan Upstate.
Sound off on the text line.
At 71307. Keyword fan.
You're listening to the Rob Brown Show, only on the Fan.
Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show continues. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob and Lonzo and you join the show. You can text us 71307, 71307. Start your text with Fan, F-A-N. We'll read them on the air. Fan, F-A-N. We will read them on the air. You can also X, post, threads, tweet me, whatever, at The Rob Brown Show, at The Rob Brown Show. If you want to come at us in that direction, you can get Lonzo at Lonzo on Word, and you can hit everybody up in the station at The Fan Upstate, at The Fan Upstate. Texture says, remember the construction team you stopped work on a couple weeks ago for water cooler cheat sheet? Guess what we're working on now? Does that ring a bell to you, Lonzo? Texter, I need some help here. You remember the construction team you stopped work on a couple weeks ago for water cooler cheat sheet? Guess what we're working on now? I'm missing you, Texter. I'm missing you. Fire back. If you're still listening, hit me with another text, 71307. Let me know what that's about, because obviously I have to know now. And it's all I'll think about for the rest of the damn day if you don't get back at me, Texter. So let me know what you're talking about so I can get to that. All right, let's get some NFL news and notes, as we got a bunch of headlines that have been coming out the last couple of days. We'll start with this one, as it directly impacts the Carolina Panthers. Lonzo, the Buffalo Bills, the opponents for the Panthers this weekend, have said that they will not play their starters for the final preseason game, which makes sense. They've got a bunch of injuries going on. Sean McDermott said, quote, so initially the plan was to play the ones this week. Because of the injuries and lack of availability, we're going to take the ones out, play the other guys, take a good look at them. It should be a good opportunity for them to put their best foot forward and for us to have a strong evaluation of that part of the roster. The Bills have several injuries at key positions. They're hurt at safety, wide receiver. Mitchell Trubisky, the backup quarterback, is down. Josh Allen not going to go in this one. So with all the injuries, and with Buffalo now confirming that they will not run out the starters, the ones this week against the Cats, Lonzo, I will join you on the wagon that we have to see Bryce Young this weekend.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit. And even though he might look great against, the guys trying to make the team, who cares? We get a sight of him out there in the Canales offense and see what it looks like a little.
Yeah.
There's a week off between preseason and regular season, and then the thing gets kicked off, and the momentum, at least from a fan standpoint, like, oh, well, that looked pretty good. I can't wait.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm at. I'm kind of at the point now where I am fine with taking time. As Lonzo's favorite song says, all you need is just a little patience.
I can't take you completely off the air. You know that, right?
I mean, you can, but who's going to get more in trouble for that, me or you?
Your technical difficulties that you're having broadcasting from home, of course.
I'm not having any technical difficulties at all. None at all. I'm having technical difficulties the way all those Russian diplomats have health problems. I'm good. I swear.
I don't know if that's the comparison I would have used, but okay.
I mean, tell me it didn't make perfect sense. It was a great analogy.
I think we all got it, but still a little extreme.
Tyreek Hill has officially laid down the challenge to U.S. Olympic gold medalist Noah Lyles, except it's not a 100-meter dash. Tyreek wants to run a 50-yard dash against Noah Lyles. He sent out a tweet that said, sign the contract and lock in that 50-yard race. The back and forth between the two athletes began when Hill, generally viewed as the fastest player in the NFL, said he believes he could beat Lyles in a race. Lyles, of course, would then go on to win the gold medal in the 100-meter dash at the Paris Olympics, seizing the unofficial title of fastest man in the world. Tyreek said a week later, quote, I would beat Noah Lyles. I wouldn't beat him by a lot, but I would beat Noah Lyles. He went on to say, come on, bruh, just speak on what you know about, and that's track. I would beat Noah Lyles in a race. He also questioned whether Lyles was really sick when he won the bronze in the 200-meter race after testing positive for COVID. The sprinter later withdrew from the 4x100-meter relay due to his illness. When asked about Hill's remarks on the Nightcap podcast, Lyles said the outspoken NFL star is, quote, just chasing clout, end quote, and challenged him to back up the bold assertion. Noah Lyles was on the Clutch Points pod alongside Shannon Sharp and said, quote, if he's serious about it, not just talking on the internet, if you're serious about it, you'll see me on the track, end quote. Lonzo, I don't know why it is that an aging NFL wide receiver challenging the Olympics world's fastest man to a 50-yard sprint competition has me on the edge of my seat, but I want this to happen so bad, dude. So bad.
I don't know if you knew this, Rob, because this is like this in a lot of places on the earth. This is a work, man. This is a work. You're building up all this, and then it's going to happen. Hopefully they'll do it for charity. Hopefully they will charge. Would you watch this on pay-per-view?
Depends on the cost. I mean, we are technically talking about a
let's go with 20 bucks
second race.
$20.
I'd probably scrap together $20 for it. You know what I'd like to see them do? I'd like to see them make it the centerpiece of like Olympians versus NFL challenge. Like what was the what was the pros? You remember pros versus Joes back in the day?
Yeah, I do.
Make it a pros versus Joe scenario. Like take a handful of NFL athletes and make them do Olympic events, but also take a handful of Olympic athletes and have them like run routes against DBs and stuff. Let's make it a pros versus pros event and see what happens, and just make this race like the main event of the evening kind of setup.
I'd rather, yeah, well, probably if there would have to be other events, but I think they should do a run Rich run type thing like what Rich Eisen does, and raise some money for charity.
I'd come up if it was just the race, right? If it was like a 15-minute broadcast that ended with a 4.67 second race, I'd give you $10 for that.
Come on,
not 100%
people
10 for that.
Not us, but people get hyped for the Kentucky Derby. I mean, that's a whole lot of hype for something that's over really, really fast. I mean,
stupidest event in sport. I would watch 10 Tyreek versus Noah races before I watched a Kentucky Derby. It just is what it is. Anyway, yes,
who would you
the
root
answer
for?
is in this race.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know the answer, and here's why. I do like Tyreek. I like Cheetah. He entertains me. I also not like Noah Lyles. And here's the thing, Lonzo. I don't know if you know this or not. You'll like Noah Lyles after this too. Big anime guy, to the point that while he was in Paris, he was describing his different races and his story by comparing them to famous anime arcs from his favorite anime cartoons.
Yeah, I did know that. Here's the other thing though. Who's it hurt more? It hurts Noah Lyles more if he loses. It doesn't hurt Tyreek Hill if he loses. Because then, you lost to the fastest man alive right now.
I mean, yes, yes, but also no, because at the end of the day, Noah Lyles will finish that race and then just put on his gold medal that he won for beating the world's best at that. I'll tell you what would make it interesting. It would make it interesting in terms of down the line, do we start seeing NFL players start to maybe pick up a second career as Olympians, right? Like, do we, if Tyreek Hill beats now, let's keep in mind that a 50-yard dash is not 50 meters. It's not the same race, okay? 50 yards is, in fact, I'm going to do the exact calculation. 50 yards is 45.72 meters. So a 50-yard dash is more than 10 meters fewer than Noah Lyles won the 100-meter dash. And I'm little brother popped up with Tyreek wins at 50. Lyles was last at 50 meters. That is the interesting thing that makes this the race.
Yeah, but last at 50 meters in the Olympics could still be faster than Tyreek Hill.
It very much could be. Last at 50 meters for Noah Lyles, he's a guy that wins. Welcome to post-Olympics coverage. Noah Lyles is a guy who wins in the last 20 meters. He does not win in the first 50. He doesn't win in the first 70. He wins in the last 20 meters. He has that last kick, that stamina that takes him to the end. He wins in the last 20 meters. So a 50-yard, I'll tell you what I would want. Run both races. Run a 50-yard dash and run a 100-meter race, right? We did the 100-meter. 100-meter is effectively a football field and one end zone, right? It was like 110 point something. 100-meter race is from the goal line through the end zone on the opposite side, all right? Run both races. Give both guys one race in their element, and let's see who the better guy is. If Tyreek beats Noah Lyles in the 50-yard dash by, a half a leg, but then Noah Lyles cooks him by a full second in the 100-meter dash, I think we're pretty conclusive about who the faster guy is there. But again, there's the discussions about length of the race and surface that they're racing it on. I don't think this is ever going to happen. I hope it does, because this is my favorite bleep talking between two athletes thing that is happening right now. And I'm not going to lie, Lonzo, I'd be lying to tell you I'm not kind of enjoying the beef back and forth a little bit. It's kind of fun to me. All right, we got to run to a break. We'll come back here in a minute. Got a few more NFL stories we need to run through as the show progresses. Rob, the great one, Lonzo, and you. We roll on next on The Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your computer and tablet.
Bundle auto and home, renters, or condo, and save with Progressive. Download the Odyssey app, search the Fan Upstate, and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash of the Fan Upstate.
Have you been wanting to find the secret to losing weight and getting healthy the natural way without drugs or injections? Hi, this is Dr. Elliot Hirschman with New Life Weight Loss, and we know the secret to losing a half a pound to a pound of fat every day, naturally, safely, and effectively, without counting points or calories. No exercising, no prepackaged drugs, no surgery. Go to mynewlifeweightloss.com now.
Hey, it's Rob. Listen, I'm getting married at the end of September, and I wanted to look good in a suit. Well, with New Life Weight Loss, I have dropped 43.5 pounds and 10 inches off my waistline. Guess what? I do. And if you call New Life and tell them you heard about them on the Rob Brown Show by the end of August, they'll give you $250 off the program. Listen, if I can do it, you can do it.
Many patients lose 20 to 30 pounds in about a month or two. That's up to a pound per day. For your free consultation, call 864-719-2550 or go to mynewlifeweightloss.com. Our expert team will discuss your health goals, help determine the root causes of your weight issues, and put you on a path to success. Go to mynewlifeweightloss.com now.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10, $20, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-580-7766. 800-580-7766. That's 800-580-7766.
Hey, this is Diesel. This is Cole with Wire to Wire. We'll be live tomorrow from 3 to 7 at Ingles Markets, 10903 Anderson Road in Piedmont. Stop by and say hi. We'll also be giving away a $25 Ingles gift card.
Bridge Nonprofit invites you to the Disability Resource Expo on August 25th at the Kroc Center. This free event connects attendees with providers, state disability agents, and valuable resources and information. Presented by Odyssey and the South Carolina Developmental Disabilities Council.
Okay, raise your hand if you want to make your life a little bit easier. Great. Now raise your other hand if you like to be comfortable. Perfect. Now that you have both hands raised, imagine putting on your shoes. And that, folks, right there is your answer to an easier, more comfortable life. Go hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins. This is footwear you don't need your hands to put on. They can be raised in the air, and you can just step it and go. Why don't you experience what people can't stop talking about? Life-changing Skechers Slip-ins. Get your Slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Hi, welcome to Staples.
Yeah, my daughter needs a laptop for college.
1 minute.
Hot deals on tech are backed by a price match guarantee, so our prices will be
A single Piedmont Tech for school at Staples. Now get up to $300 off select PCs. Ends 8/24 price match guarantee valid within 14 days of purchase. Exclusions apply. For details, visit staples.com/price match.
This is the story of the one. As a facility technician installing a new welding station, he knows getting the ventilation right is critical for safety. That's why when questions arise, there's Granger. Granger offers detailed technical product information online at his fingertips, so it's easy to find what he needs. Because when it comes to safety, having answers means he and his people can breathe a little easier. Call clickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Panthers, Paladins, and Rebels. Punch your ticket to the best local sports. The Fan! 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg. Always streaming wherever you are on the Odyssey app. The Fan!
Upstate.
Get in the game on the Rob Brown Show.
Only on the Fan.
The Fan!
Upstate.
Final segment of the Rob Brown Show here on a Tuesday afternoon. Glad to have you, Rob, the great one, Alonzo, and you. If you did not hear us talking about it earlier, as we run through some NFL headlines to wrap up the show today, the NFL has at least had a conversation that I speculated a couple of weeks ago that they would have by the end of the season. Apparently, it has come up in the preseason, and that conversation is about moving the touchback line ahead to the 35-yard line. The touchback currently under the new kickoff rules is taking at the 30-yard line. I brought this up after the Hall of Fame game. And the point that I made was it looked to me at the time, and I was pretty close, that kickoffs would on average end up being somewhere around the 27-yard line on kickoffs that were returned under the new kickoff format. Pardon me. I was pretty close. In that the actual average through 2 full weeks of NFL preseason football is the 28.3 yard line. Atlanta Falcons fans everywhere shudder at those numbers. The 28.3 yard line is where kickoffs are on average being returned to right now under the current rules. My speculation was the 27, and I said, if that is the case, one of two things is going to happen. Either, number one, the kickoff, the touchback line will be moved from the 30-yard line, to the 35-yard line before the season starts. Or, number two, teams are going to kick a lot of touchbacks this year. And it looks like it's going to be the latter. The NFL's competition committee initially proposed a touchback line of the 35. The NFL owners, while agreeing to the new kickoff rules, did push back on the touchback line and said that they wanted it at the 30, not the 35. Well, I'm very bad at math, but I have done the math on that. From the 28.3 to the 25 is exactly 1.7 yards of difference. So not quite 2 full yards. So if you're an NFL coach lining your team up for a kickoff and you've got a kicker who is capable of putting the ball through the back of the end zone. And by the way, you college football fans, take notice of this, because this kickoff is coming to college football. It's not going to be this year, obviously. It may not be next year, but eventually this kickoff format will come to college ball. And whatever the NFL decides to do here is what the college ranks will be doing. Probably I could see it being next year, but probably 2 years from now. So the NFL proposed a 35-yard touchback. The owner said 30. We are now 2 weeks through the regular season. The average returned kickoff has come out to the 28.3-yard line. With that being said, if you are a head coach lining up your kickoff team and you know that the average kick comes back out to the 28.3, there's no reason not to kick a touchback. There's no reason not to tell your kicker, send this thing into another zip code. Send this thing like you hate it into low Earth orbit, right? So I think that while the concept that was originated with this new kickoff rule is good, that concept, of course, being more kickoff returns done in a safer way. While I think that is a good thing, ultimately, I also think that you've got to do it in a way that justifies teams returning the kick. They have done that. I think you've got to do it in a way that justifies the kicking team taking the chance. By moving it out to the 35, you have done both. You have basically said, hey, return team, you have got to get 7 yards more than the average return to justify not returning the football, right? Or to the kicking team, hey, you've got to risk 7 full yards to justify landing the kickoff in the landing zone and not putting it through the back of the end zone, or not putting it into the end zone, allowing it to spike. The NFL said yesterday that while the conversation has gone on about moving the kickoff to the touchback to the 35-yard line, it will not happen this year. And I get it. The NFL is an organization that is very slow to change its rules. They are very slow. This kickoff concept has been in conversation for a couple of years now. It is an organization that is very slow to change the rules, very slow to make changes to the game without really testing it. That is part of the reason that they undertook the experiment of working with the UFL, was to actually have a place to test these rule changes and find out, do they make the game better or worse, or not change it at all? Well, they've now got some data, some metrics, but as Lonzo pointed out earlier in the radio broadcast, teams are in the preseason experimenting with everything. That also includes kickoffs. I know that there are at least a couple of kickers who are more than capable of sending the ball out of the back of the end zone that are electing not to do so that the kickoff coverage team can get some practice, right? Because there are going to be some kick returners that are still going to bring the thing out of the end zone because they're Tyreek Hill fast, right? So this is an opportunity to give your kickoff coverage unit an opportunity to practice. When we get to the regular season, if you are a head coach, I'm having my guy kick it out of the back of the end zone every time. I will surrender 1.7 yards of difference from the average return place to the touchback line. I will surrender 1.7 yards of difference to make sure that I never give up a kickoff return that flips the field. That I never get Devin Hestered back the other way in a way that puts extra emphasis on my defense. I am willing to make that change. And once we get through probably 3 weeks of the NFL where every kickoff is a touchback, that change is coming.
And now the Rob Brown Show presents Tweet.
All right, now it's time to ask Rob what the X is going on. The first thing that's Xing is Star Wars.
Star Wars is Xing because of the new video game that we got some trailer footage from, I'm assuming. No, it is trending because may the August be 20th you. I don't know. I got no idea.
Wow, that last one was great. I like that. No, The Acolyte has been canceled.
The Acolyte has been canceled. All right, so the show started good. It really meddled out in the middle. It picked back up at the very end, but I also know that there have been some controversies. Yeah, that's a dog. There have also been some controversies regarding the main actress. I forget her name. Getting into some, let's say, Twitter debates with people that have not exactly reflected wonderfully upon Star Wars and Disney, and I imagine that played into the conversation.
Well, I think a lot of things played in, including retcons and the diminishing of Anakin Skywalker. All right, the next thing that is Xing is Jack Perry.
Okay, you know what? I'm glad you said that. Not Jack Perry, the last thing, because I do have another question for you. The showrunner for House of the Dragon, which you don't need to know anything about Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon for this, but it's a conversation. The showrunner for House of the Dragon the other day, because a lot of people are very upset with where season 2 went with that show. It got real stupid at the very end. She said she was a good hire to be a showrunner and writer and director for the show because, Lonzo, She had never read the books or watched the TV show, so she brought a fresh set of eyes. Have we gotten to the point that companies are going to start to realize that bringing in people who don't love the source material and letting them write their own stories in the universe is a real good way to bleep it all up?
For sure, especially when it comes to Star Wars, because they know what they've had a couple good hires. I mean, Dave Filoni knows all the everything about Star Wars, and Jon Favreau too. So there are two hires that were really good, and then they went and hired someone that was the exact opposite of that. So, all right, Jack Perry is exiting because there's a video out there where he reforges his championship belt, and it's really cool. You need to check it out.
It is. I saw it yesterday. It is pretty dope.
Yes, I mean, look what I mean.
I'm not a Jack Perry fan.
It's not him the entire time. I don't believe actually doing the smelting and stuff because it cuts away. But still, it's really cool. All right,
I'm not a Jack Perry fan. He bores me. He doesn't do anything for me. But that actually was a really cool way to kind of show the willingness to commit sacrilege. I dig it.
Yeah. All right. The next thing it's Xing is Pat McAfee.
Pat McAfee Xing because last night on Raw, Pat McAfee was being exceptionally Pat McAfee-ish, and people find it hilarious.
Okay. Last night was his last Raw until January. So
that's right. College Game Day firing up this weekend, and he leaves Raw when Game Day rolls around, which, by the way, I completely and totally understand and support that decision. But it's also kind of a bummer because I think at this point we're all pretty comfortable saying Pat McAfee's good at the wrestling stuff.
Yeah, they had a package, and by the way, they've already announced he'll be back in January when Raw moves to Netflix.
Checks out. And that's a good reboot spot for everybody, right? Like you're going to get Pat McAfee's commentary is definitely going to fit in most excellently when they move over to Netflix for sure. All right, that's it. That's the show for us, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. Make sure you stick around. Coming up later, we got Wire to Wire with Cole Bryson and Diesel at 3 p.m. We will be back tomorrow to do it all over again, but better on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later.
This is head coach of the Furman Paladins, Clay Hendricks. Hear every Paladins game on the Fan Upstate.
If you are dealing with joint pain from arthritis or an old sports injury or just life in general, you know that constant pain can take away so many of the things that you love about life. But there is good news. Hey, it's Rob Brown. There are effective ways to deal with
dudes and dudettes, thank you guys for being here. We are out.
Surgery. I am talking about Houston Kinetics and their cellular therapies.
I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. We will see you tomorrow.
Uses cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your body's own healing process.